Hey everyone. It's Friday. Um what is it's the 28th of August today. Friday 28th of August. It's 2 o'clock Pacific out on the West Coast. I'm Kip Davis, and this is my capable and talented and lovely producer, Vishanti. Welcome, Vishanti. I got to pause. And we're here for entertainment and education every Friday at this time. I'm a biblical scholar and a specialist in early Judaism and the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I like to talk about those sorts of things. So if you're new here, welcome. But most of you are probably like here because you show up faithfully every single week. So hi, it's good to see you all, and I hope everybody had a great week and is getting ready for an excellent weekend. So I had a great week. I'm drinking today, by the way. This is my last bottle of a Blue Barrel hard, new fashion hard root beer, which I found at the Aldi here while I'm on my vacation for $8 a case, which is like way cheaper than the hard root beer that I purchased before I left for my vacation in Canada. So yes, good to see everyone. Good to see you, Vishanti. Sorry, I've been babbling for a while.
It's been Satan's armpit here in Los Angeles for the last week or two. It's just been
Wow.
like 100 degrees, crazy humidity. Apparently, it's the remnants of a tropical storm that, blew north thanks to, super El Nino and climate change. Warmer water equals more tropical storms.
Uh,
So, one of the major contributing factors to me moving out of the deep south, which regularly experiences weather
oh,
phenomenon like
shit.
hurricanes.
It turns out you can't outrun climate change. Damn it.
Turns out. I know.
Turns out. Speaking of tropical storms, I was in one on Sunday night. Driving back, I had a great weekend. I got to hang out with our mutual friend, the Dapper Dinosaur,
Hmm.
as well as
But I won't believe you until I see the photo with you and him in it.
I think somebody took a picture. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to get back to him on that. Um,
Well, as the kids
there's
say, pics or it didn't happen.
Pixar didn't happen. It's true. I did share with you a picture that I would like to talk about today, and I will talk quite a bit more about tomorrow when we do Budget Scripture Saturday with Dr. Tapioca Weasel, because he was there. I was yes, okay. Here is the picture. Um, what stands out to you in this picture, Vish?
Look, I see aliens riding on dinosaurs shooting laser guns.
Yes. So, oh, and if you look closely, you can see.
Hang on.
Okay, here we go. Yes, is that not amazing? For real.
Were you
Come on.
amazed?
I okay. So, I have to tell the story here. This tourist attraction is called The Thing. It's on exit 322 between Las Cruces and Tucson, just on the Arizona side of the border. And I was seeing billboards advertising this thing at least 100 miles out, probably more. And I'm not just talking about like a billboard that says, oh, The Thing, what is it? I'm talking about 27 billboards in a row. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I, as a consumer, was, of course, very interested, and my curiosity was piqued. about the thing. So I was trying to convince my co-travelers, and you can see in the picture there, if you zoom in, you can see Dr. Tapioca Weasel and Maya Atkinson, who I was traveling with, and they did not think it was a good idea for me to stop, for us to stop at exit 322 to visit the Thing Museum. Um, but I was quiet about it. And as exit 322 approached, and I'm not kidding, I did not plan this. I did not. This is just a thing that was happenstance. I was like, we're about an hour out of Tucson, but I really have to use the bathroom, so I'm going to stop at the next exit. Lo and behold, it was exit 322, and we drove in, and I was like, oh my god, here we are at the Thing Museum. This is great. We could go and check it out, and they didn't think it was a good idea. So we went and used the bathroom. I tried very hard to convince both Maya and Tap that we could get in for 10. We could probably get in as a family for like $10. I thought maybe we could. They did not even. They did not even choose to try. They were like, nope, not doing that. Let's get ice cream from the Dairy Queen. So we did. And Dr. Tapioca Weasel, I'll talk a lot about this tomorrow night on Budget Scripture Saturday, when Dr. Tapioca Weasel will be in attendance. We can share the experience together. But I just have to say, we met a man at the Dairy Queen, at the Tourist Trap Museum, with the pictures of the dinosaur riding alien and the laser gun. And this man asked me if I had ever seriously investigated the 6,000 year true history of our Earth.
Oh boy.
So
you found a real life young Earth creationist in the wild.
Oh my god, it was the most. I felt like I was having the most quintessentially American experience that maybe I've ever had. Driving through the heat on a desert highway, stopping at a tourist trap, and talking to a young Earth creationist trucker was just. I don't know. It doesn't. It just doesn't get any more authentic than that. I don't think so. I'll have a lot to say about it, though. Vandy and I.
You went to the museum, correct? Inside it.
We did not go through the museum.
So you can't even tell us what the thing is.
Oh, but I can, because Dapper told me what the thing is. So Dapper, when I showed Dapper a picture of this picture of the museum, he said, yeah, no, don't go there. So especially because, you know, we were still on our way to meet up with him, and we did, and Dapper and Vandy, Dr. Tapioca Weasel, Maya, and I had a lovely afternoon at another museum, the Sonora Arizona Desert Museum, which was great, and probably much better than, according to Dapper, much better than this one. So that's what we did instead. I got to see a Roadrunner, which was super cool, and yeah. Anybody have any guesses as what the thing is? Just based on this picture. Maybe put it in the chat, and we can survey some of those questions, and I can let you know. Oh yes,
3 clam tad for $5. Keep leaving the museum. You're going to have to sleep sometime, McCready.
I don't know what that reference is from. What is that reference?
Yeah, you do. We watched it. The Thing. With Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Got it. Very nice. Um, so
A movie
this is
that would be instantly spoiled for Matt Monger if he were watching it for the first time because he speaks like Norwegian.
yes, very true. Shoot,
So
it's
the
not. Why is this
shouting
not?
at the beginning of the film, he'd be like, "Oh, well, then I already know what's happening."
So this is true. I did download the app for the thing, so that I can actually. It was free, and instead of actually going through the museum tour, I can instead just listen to the tour. Here it is. Yeah. Oh no, there's not. It's on my phone, but
Okay.
I can
Well,
just
here's the
listen.
answer.
The big Rocky member of the Fantastic Four, says allegedly
Ben
Fred.
Grimm.
Oh yes, but it wasn't that. I'm sorry to say. That's kind of what I thought. Maybe it was too. The I'll tell you though. I mean, the pictures that they put on the billboard kind of, or on the sign above their establishment, kind of gave it away. Um, is it an in real life alien that hates dinosaurs and shoots them with space lasers? If not, that sign is false advertising. Um, yeah, and who knows? We didn't actually see it. Dapper told me what it was, but it may have been false advertising anyway you go. So, but that was the adventure that I was on this weekend. Oh, and I segued into that because you were talking about tropical storms. When we left on Sunday night, um, the clouds were getting thick and dark, and I got caught driving back through Arizona in like a monsoon. Um, which has never happened to me before, and I've driven through a lot of weather. I live in Canada. Grew up on the prairies where it was common practice to drive through blizzards, which is also a harrowing experience. But we do it. So as a seasoned driver through all sorts of dangerous weather events, I just kept going. But my God, that was a lot of rain, and such that it was very difficult to see most of the
Yep.
time, and I was
Mhm.
traveling very slow. And it was like rain, and then we're in periods where the rain would stop. Then it was like dust storm. So rain, then dust storm, and then my windshield would get like covered in dust
Mhm.
and dirt, and then it was quite an experience. But we made it. We got through it safe. And yeah, first monsoon, driving through my first monsoon was pretty wild. So yeah, it's true. Kip is from the prairies where the weather happens. It certainly does. So yeah, there we go. But we're not here to talk about any of that. That's just the fun stuff on my weekend. Something else happened this week, and like ordinarily, I wouldn't care so much, but everybody seems to be talking about this. And I ended up watching uh, an interview on a channel that we have covered before, Pints with Aquinas, featuring Matt Fradd, is a Catholic apologetics channel. And when
Great.
Shung Tsai and um, CJ Cornthwaite were on our show a couple months ago, we reviewed one of his interviews with Trent Doherty, who is like a philosopher and I think probably a terrible person. So today we're also reviewing another, excuse me, Catholic apologetics video featuring another Catholic philosopher. But I don't think he's a terrible person though. I think Joe Schmid is probably an okay guy. I have no reason to think otherwise. But as it turns out, Joe Schmid, an agnostic Ph.D. student at Princeton University in analytical philosophy, just came out to reveal that he has, converted to Catholicism, or more appropriately, reconverted to Catholicism. He was raised Catholic. He was a lapsed Catholic, and is no longer a lapsed Catholic. He is a Catholic again. Now, the point of today's stream is it's going to be a little bit different than probably some of the other responses that you've seen regarding Joe Schmid's conversion. Straight up, I don't care. I don't care that Joe Schmid was an agnostic. I don't care that he's Catholic. What I care about is the intersection between this high level analytical philosopher, his faith, and the part that the Bible has to play in that. And as it turns out, it's a little surprising. Can you guess how much of a role the Bible has to play in that intersection, Vish?
Well, it probably plays about the same amount as it does for the other apologists.
Ouch, right? Yeah. So, I kind of think that if you are going to embrace, and I'll back that up a little bit. There are plenty of people who watch this show who are Christians. There are plenty of people who watch this show who are Jewish, as well as agnostics and atheists. And everyone's welcome, because here, this is not about religion so much as it's about the Bible. Because, as everybody knows, I fucking love, there it is, I fucking love the Bible. But Vish loves it too. And that's what we're about. What strikes me, I think, is how little people who purport to engage in certain religious apologetics make a lot of noise about the Bible and really don't seem to know or to understand it. I think that if you're religious, you have your own reasons for doing that. That's between you, it's between God or the universe or whoever you think is out there or not out there. That is totally your business. If Joe wants to be a Catholic, good for him. Be a Catholic. I guess what's striking to me is that in the apologetics for becoming a Catholic, the foundational text of Catholicism, Christianity, plays such an impoverished role. And that's something that we're going to talk about today. Did you highlight some comments out of the gate here?
Just one.
Not very lapsed. He was praying on the regular and going to mass whenever he was at home. So the average Catholic college student. Yeah, that's fair. Before let's see. Before we okay, yeah, let's do this. We're gonna pull up the video today. We'll watch the introduction, okay? And then I've got some other timestamps because there's a couple of other things that I want to talk about. So he's got some stuff to say about exorcisms that we're going to talk about. He's got some stuff to say about an historic an historic miracle that we're going to talk about, and then some things to say about hell and about gay stuff that I want to talk a little bit about. One of the things that we're going to do that Joe does like almost not at all in this video is we're going to actually look at the Bible, because that's kind of what I do here. I think the Bible has some things to say with respect to the way that Joe wants to represent his public alignment with Catholicism. So I think it's useful to look at some of that stuff too. So we'll start here with the introduction.
You have a popular agnostic atheist YouTube channel. And by the way, as we're recording this, you haven't announced this publicly. Last time you were on my show, you were debating Father Gregory Pine on divine simplicity. You come on as an atheist agnostic, and then a couple of months ago, I get a...
Just a reminder, he wasn't an atheist agnostic.
He was a lapsed Catholic.
Still a Christian. He was still praying and going to Mass.
That's true.
That's not the same thing.
I don't think we're going to get to it, but Joe makes a point in the video about how, as non-believers, he thinks everyone should be offering conditional prayers to God on the regular in a very Pascalian wager sort of way, because you never know, right?
Well,
now
I could just make that argument for Tlaloc.
Sure.
Good God of Rain.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Yeah, it's
call from our mutual friend Cameron Batuzzi. What happened? What happened? Who are you and what happened?
Why is gay sex impermissible? Why would God send people to hell? Why is there so much evil in the world? Why is God so hidden? Why is there so much religious diversity and religious confusion? The problem of evil is just so powerful to me. I'm very cautious. Like, it takes a lot to convince me.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm like, I don't know, I'm a little bit scared.
Yeah.
It's just coincidence upon coincidence upon coincidence.
I hope everybody caught that. Hold on, Vish.
Of hearing coincidence.
Coincidence, yeah, it's true. So I hope everyone caught that. Joe says he's very cautious. He's very skeptical. He says it takes a lot to convince him. I feel so. One of the things that I try to avoid in public is promoting my own level of skepticism. And it's for reasons like this. Everybody thinks I think that everybody on planet Earth walks through life thinking that they are careful thinkers, that they are weighing the evidence with great caution and skepticism, and that it would take a lot to convince them to change their mind about something. I just think we go through life like that. So why would I promote that I do this when this is just the way we all think that we operate? And it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter how skeptical you think you are. What matters is how skeptical you actually are. When it comes right down to it, are you using the tools that are available to you to carefully and properly evaluate evidence before drawing your conclusions? So when Joe talks about being really hard to convince of things, and then I watch stuff like this, I'm like, come on. No, it's bullshit, dude.
He's just doing like the performative apologetic thing to make you think like, oh, well, if it convinced him and he's got like skeptical, like high standards, then he must have something.
This is no different from J. Warner Wallace. I was an atheist police detective. Who,
except he was also raised Christian.
Or Lee Strobel, I was a hardened atheist investigative reporter. You know, if I was convinced from my rigorous standards of skepticism, then it's got to be true, right? It's got to be true.
Yeah.
So something else I will say, it's always interesting to me. You know what? Maybe I'll wait for a minute to get into that. But let's
It's one
continue
of
it.
those things,
I just
like, again, this came up for me again today because I was literally just, I don't want to say dialoguing, that's too charitable. I was arguing with somebody in a comment section because their whole shtick is this can't just be coincidence. It had to have been intentionally designed and it had to have been this. It just can't be a coincidence. It just can't be. Yeah, it can, actually. I know that just shocks some people, but coincidences do happen.
a lot. I mean, I would say most of the time you think it's a coincidence. It probably is. Honestly, like
it's a phenomenon that's happened enough in human experience that we have a word for it. So,
yes.
yeah, they can and do happen. So your personal incredulity isn't a gauge of whether or not it's a coincidence.
So
I just can't believe this just can't be. Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
It can.
Before you press play, I do want to point out the two pictures that are on the screen here now. The one on the left is, I believe, this gentleman's
Padre
name
Pio?
is Padre Pio. What do you know about Padre Pio, Vish? You probably know more about him
Claimed to
than
have
I do.
stigmata. It was a big deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's right there. It's a picture. It's right on
there.
his hands. It's got him.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to be true. So,
Thank you for this. Is that Barnabas Nagy?
I don't know who that
I
is.
thought the same thing. He's an idiot flat earther.
Okay.
I know, redundant, but
are you convinced of Pedro? What did you say? Is it Pedro
Padre?
Pio? Padre
Pio.
Padre Pio. Thank you. Are you convinced?
Yeah. I was just about to say something, and then we have Shasta who took it right out of my mouth. Padre Pio, who's widely known to have faked the stigmata with corrosive chemicals that he admitted to buying.
So
there you go.
This is the level of evidence we're talking about here. The picture on the right is it's from is it called Zateo? Is it called Zateo? It's there was a series of Marian apparitions in Egypt between the 1960s and the 1970s. I think it's Zateo. Somebody can confirm that in the chat because somebody knows this better than I do. So this is apparently a picture. Zaytoon. Thank you, Ben Green. Zaytoon.
Yeah.
This is apparently a picture of Mary on top of it's importantly this is a not a Catholic church. This is a Coptic Orthodox church in Zaytoun, Egypt. So why Joe thinks that this is a promotion of his Catholicism, no idea. But in any event, that's supposed to be Mary, I think, at the top of the church in Zaytoun. I think it's the nobody can see my cursor, but it's the sort of humanoid looking figure
it's right
in
up
the
here.
center left top. Thank you,
Next to
Vish.
the little cross thing. Yeah.
I believe that is supposed to be the Virgin Mary. I cannot tell if that is what that is.
Hey,
but
in the words of Dr. Josh Bowen, therefore what?
Yes, that too. So great. But this is the kind of stuff that Joe Schmid is going to spend 3 hours on his podcast, on Matt Fradd's podcast, talking about as the big dominoes that fell to get him to re-embrace Catholicism. So
the Catholicism that he never actually really abandoned.
Didn't actually really abandon.
Yeah.
So
Fine.
there you go. I think we can probably press play and get through some more of this at that point. But this is where we're going.
Tree claim Tad for 5. If J. Warner Wallace used the same investigative techniques to catch murderers that he used to find Jesus, then the Innocence Project is going to be busy.
Damn.
I've been saying it. Saying it. Pull up his cases.
Yeah, for rights.
Through my $4.99, we can have 1,000 Lee Strobles now, thanks to monetizable content creation.
Thank you, TikTok and YouTube. Yes, for that. That was a wonderfully helpful site. I mean, we take
on coincidence. Oh no, Catholicism might be true. That's not good.
Last time you were on my show, you were debating Father Gregory Pine on divine simplicity. And I'm pretty sure you won, which pissed me off a little bit.
Did I win?
It didn't piss me off either. I was just joking.
If I'm defending falsehood, I think I lost.
No, it was pretty wild. I don't know. It wasn't like a knock him down, drag him out kind of thing. But I remember Father Pine calling me, and he's like, because he saw a picture of you, and you look kind of young. And he's like, should I be debating this guy? I mean, he's like, I know I'm not one to talk because I look young, but this guy looks really young. I'm like, trust me, he's really smart. It's just so anyway. You come on as an atheist, agnostic, and debate Father Pine. You did really well. And then a couple of months ago, I get a call from our mutual friend Cameron Bertuzzi, and he's like, so Joe Schmid just converted to Catholicism.
Now, I also want to direct people to Katie Lewis is in the chat. Katie Lewis is a friend of the channel. She hasn't actually been on the channel. I've been on her channel before. So I think that makes her a friend. But she runs a channel called Nerd Church, and she did a stream yesterday about this, and I believe she's got more content to deliver about Joe Schmid and his conversion. And she made a very important point yesterday, and I think it bears repeating. Here, he's a very young guy. He's not 30 yet. And in my estimation, I have kids who are Joe Schmid's age. So he is a young guy who has he's a very smart guy, or seems to be, within, I think, his field, within his experience. I have some questions about how widely read Joe actually is outside of analytical philosophy, which is something that Katie pointed to a lot in her stream yesterday. But something else that she pointed to a lot in her stream yesterday is that for all your inexperience, what makes you think that you now have such breadth to make the sorts of sweeping claims about the truth or falsity of this religion or that religion, when you just, in your words, converted within the last few months? I think it's an important point. You want to put that one back up? He didn't. Yes, I think useful. He didn't actually. But yeah, you want to put that other comment back up because that was funny. The one that you the one that you had highlighted. Sorry about that. Yeah, why is it always the PhD candidates? Listen, I will say I have a considerably greater confidence that Joe will actually finish his. I'll just say that. Although I did learn today that he hasn't even started his dissertation yet. But so that was not
We're really batting 1,000 here, aren't we?
God, oh my God, that was the most precious reaction, Vish. That was great. Is this the interview where Joe says that if he thinks something is true, but the magisterium disagrees, then he'll change his mind? It could be. It's a long interview. And he does say things certainly to that effect. The magisterium in the Catholic Church is what establishes church doctrine, and as a Catholic, Joe is beholden to the magisterium.
Kylie P. for $1.99. He has Mormon missionary energy, said as a former.
Nice, very nice. And that's fine. I will say this though. You should be a little bit more historically curious, regardless of what the magisterium says or does. I've known a whole bunch of Catholic biblical scholars, critical scholars, who, when it comes to their own work, are not invoking the magisterium. They're working like critical scholars. They're treating the biblical texts as critical scholars do, and then they make their peace in other ways. It feels like,
despite what Richard Carrier thinks,
it certainly is. It certainly is, and we all do it. When I was last in evangelical, I used to say that I wore a scholar's hat when I was at work and working on the biblical text and doing my work there. And then when I went to church on Sunday, I took the hat off and I put on my my Christian devotee hat, and I compartmentalized. And you can do that, and lots of scholars do that because faith is different, or at least it can be different from your own intellectual assent. And I will say, I think that to put so much weight on the science and the history and the evidence for your faith is a dangerous proposition, because it's falsifiable, and it's easily falsified. As a result, the moment you say, because of this miracle, or because of the truthfulness of this text, or because of this scientific fact, I am a believer, you have suddenly set an enormous amount of weight on this one thing, and it becomes incredibly vulnerable. Which is why scholars usually are pretty careful about
this is one of those things that gets me about Low Bar Bill, is he wants to appeal to philosophy and logic and reason, and a lot of evangelical or young earth creationist apologists will try to appeal to the science and evidence, but then when it contradicts their predetermined positions or their theological commitments, they'll back away and be like, no, that's actually not why we believe. We believe because of the inner witness of the Holy Spirit. So then why do you spend all your time talking about philosophy and science if the reason you actually believe is because you were convicted by the Holy Spirit?
Exactly.
I want to have it both ways.
You can't, people want to have it both ways, but really, I don't think you legitimately can. So Stephen G. Clenard for $5, thank you very much, says, universities are becoming diploma mills. 9-year PhD candidate. It's true. Listen, I was a PhD candidate once, and I remember what that was all about, what that was like. And Jesus, I gotta say, am I ever glad that I was a PhD candidate in an era before this space, this social media space, YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, before this became the platform. Because, boy, you know, I probably, I certainly had a lot of shitty ideas back when I was a PhD candidate that I'm very, very happy were not thrown out into public discourse. So I'll say that. Geronimo says,
Jeremiah for Butt
Jeremiah.
99 instead of Joe Schmid, more like Joe Mid. Am I right?
I didn't say it.
Here we go. I find the visual of this newbie Christian salesman sitting in front of a full bar of liquor to be amusing. I don't, because Catholics drink.
Catholics drink.
Evangelicals might
Goddamn right
or
they
might
do.
not. But yeah, Catholics drink. It's not a big deal.
Yep.
Free climb Tad. I give it 2 years before he's an evangelical.
No, I don't know. I don't think
I
there's.
think so.
And I think Katie's probably right. Katie said yesterday she thinks that in predicting Joe's career trajectory, she's thinking he's on his way to Catholic seminary to become ordained, or he's going to join the Peterson Academy. And I gotta say, I think those are good bets, honestly.
Grifters going grift. Godless Gurney for 5. If the way to belief, I think believe is what they meant there. If the way to belief is being led by the Holy Spirit, apologists should give up on arguing and just pray.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't. Again, I know that it's like me quoting scripture is about as useful as a screen door in a submarine here, but if you're gonna talk to people about like evidence and reasons and logic and like philosophy and all these other things, when the text says you can't even approach God unless the Holy Spirit convicts you, unless the God draws you to him, then you can't do anything about that. So
there we go.
Yeah.
And this is true. Pints with Aquinas is a production of the Daily Wire, which is why we're not watching Pints with Aquinas. We're watching, what's the title of this video, Vish? If you can, it is, here it is. Philosophy Bros. Philosophy Bros ignore the Bible because they are credulous rubes who suck at it. So, not a Daily Wire production. So that's the one we're watching. All right.
Okay.
So you and I have intentionally not talked about it. Even over lunch, we didn't talk about it. What happened?
What happened? I was just
Who are you and what happened?
My goodness, I was just inundated with divine grace. That's what happened. I mean, ultimately, conversion is a work of the Holy Spirit, right? So it's not.
There you go.
Speaking a little bit of inside baseball there. They talk about divine grace. It's like he said, it's a shorthand for saying the Holy Spirit like convicted me and it like changed my opinions and blah blah blah. So
and he's right, in as much as this is how the religious texts and the religious canons say that it should be. This is about conviction from the Holy Spirit. This is about change in your heart and your mind by God that has nothing to do with evidence.
Yeah.
So he says this right out of the gate. But then the conversation in this video goes in a completely different direction.
Okay.
It's God working. So what happened?
I want to say too, before we get started, that you have a popular agnostic atheist YouTube channel called Majesty of Reason, which will.
I know he keeps saying this, but agnostic, atheist, those aren't just interchangeable terms. This guy was never an atheist.
That's true.
He may have been agnostic at some point, sure. But you can't just agnostic, atheist, I'll just use them interchangeably. That's not how that works.
That's true. That's true.
Those are also two different like zones.
Categories. Yeah.
They're two different categories. Like one is knowledge and one is belief.
And you certainly can be
Yeah.
an agnostic
Yeah.
atheist, right? I mean, I consider myself agnostic in that I just don't know, and I'll add to that, I just don't care whether
Yeah.
there's a
He was
God,
an atheist in
not a
high
God,
school. I'm sure he was.
for a short time.
Listen, I know
Yeah.
that that's probably a little bit dismissive of me, but I'll just be honest. I have never met somebody that is now like a professing Christian of some sort of evangelical stripe who said, yeah, well, I was an atheist and then, I came to believe, who actually knows what atheism is in terms of it being either I'm not convinced there's a God or there are no gods.
Right.
They just didn't go to church for a while and just didn't really think about religious stuff at all. They were
And they were mad
doing
at
their
God.
life. Some of them may have been partiers or not, but they just didn't really do religious stuff. That's not the same thing. It's just, ugh. But it gives you a conversion story way more clout if you say that you were an atheist first. So
user, I'm not sure. This person says Joe put out multiple videos on the atheist agnostic distinction in philosophy and why he identified as an agnostic. And now he was apparently some kind of hardcore atheist. Funny how that works. Now, I will say, I think these are labels, and this is the same thing that irritates me when it comes to people like Wes Huff. I'll say it even though he's a friend of the channel and I love him. It irritates me when it's applied to people like Justin from Deconstruction Zone. Others, Wes Huff does not identify himself as an expert in Christianity or an expert in biblical studies in the same way. Justin does not identify himself as an expert in the Bible or biblical languages, but what invariably happens is everybody else does. And it's the onus is on you as the specialist or as the featured guest on a podcast or a production to make sure that the record is clarified. And your silence is in a way implicating you in probably ways that you don't intend it, or maybe sometimes you do. Did Kip just describe Huff as a friend of the channel? No, you're imagining things. I was talking about Justin from Deconstruction Zone, who often gets identified as an expert in the Bible. And he's not.
Has he come around and dropped the whole religion as a psychosis thing?
I don't know, and I'm not going into that. All I'm going to say is that Justin is very bright. Justin knows what he's doing with the biblical text a lot of times, but he is not an expert. I think he would never foist that label upon himself, but it's something that certainly others are happy to do. And I think that's kind of what's happening here. That's probably what's happened with Joe in other contexts, where he is identified as an expert or as an atheist or as what have you, despite himself, despite his own feelings and his own realization about who he is. So it's expertise is now listen, when it comes to expertise, I mean, I cringe a little bit when people even say things that I'm a Bible expert or that I'm an expert in Hebrew, even though I teach it and I teach the Bible and I am a trained biblical scholar at the Ph.D. level. I'm happy to identify as an expert in Second Temple Judaism, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, in the transmission and the reception of biblical texts, in early Jewish history, because these are all things that I have done terminal work in and published widely on. But even there, the field is so broad that, and there are so many more people out there, actual experts who know this stuff so much better than I do.
Lots of specializations.
I am not an expert on the legal material from the Pentateuch. I am not an expert on the Book of the Psalms. I've written articles on the Psalms. I'm not an expert on it. You know, there's the expertise is one of these tricky things. And if it were up to me, everybody would pay much closer attention to how they're throwing this word around. Because it often makes me uncomfortable when it's applied to me by others. I try to be careful in applying it to myself. And I notice when the label is applied to others. So that's yeah. So that's that. Anyways.
Okay.
To below, which I imagine is going to take a different trajectory. So it's going to be wild to see. And by the way, as we're recording this, for those at home, you haven't announced this publicly.
Oh no, yeah, we're still in private right now.
So I told my social media guy as we came in. He's like, "What?" Because he was a fan. All right, I'll stop talking. Go.
Yeah. So right now, I'm a Ph.D. student at Princeton University studying philosophy, and ultimately it was philosophy and just reasoning about Catholic miracles that brought me to the faith. Now again, divine grace was at work throughout all this, and this is not my own merit. This is God. But yeah, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the upbringing, Catholic upbringing?
Well, I guess I would want to begin by asking you if I had have said to you 2 years ago, like, I mean, you'll be Catholic one day, and on my show talking about
Ridiculous,
really,
utterly ridiculous.
Really?
What are you talking about? Like, I just had so many objections. I mean, hell, gay sex, morality. I mean, I had boatloads of objections. I was like, why is gay sex impermissible? Why would God send people to hell? Why is there so much evil in the world? Why is God so hidden? Why is there so much religious diversity and religious confusion? Like, I would have just like, and of course I would, as I normally tend to talk fast, I got to slow down. I would have just like inundated you with like hordes upon hordes of objections. You know, I have this 12-hour long video where I'm like systematically debunking all the arguments for God's existence. And it's like my most popular video. So I would not have believed you. I would have thought you've gone insane, Matt.
And if I had said, and you'll also be wearing an Our Lady of Guadalupe tie and St. Padre Pio's socks, you would have went, okay, just stop making fun of me.
Yeah, I would have.
A Catholic wearing Guadalupe? I can't believe of all the iconography.
The socks too. Boy, that's some attention to detail for the podcast host to notice what kind of socks you're wearing. Just saying. Well, at least we know. Listen, at least we know that Joe is not a ghost.
Unless they're a person who's really into the fashion industry and is obsessed with shoes, you never see feet or shoes on a ghost.
Yeah.
Never, huh?
I've never seen feet on a ghost. I don't know about you. I never have.
I mean, I feel like this kind of
if somebody
stating the obvious, but I don't think anybody's seen a ghost.
Well,
but hey, I'm open.
I'm open to correction. I am absolutely open to correction. All right.
But hey, if I do see a ghost at some point, I will hopefully remember to check for feet.
Tommy, good to see you. The Human Tommy. Everybody, check out the Humanity, their channel. It's very good. They broadcast every Wednesday night, and it's fun. Tommy has been on this show. I never wear socks on shows, and yes, I am unfortunately keenly aware of the existence of Tommy's feet because I've seen them, and it's gross. Listen, God invented, or whoever invented feet for a reason, never for us to look at. That's why we wear socks and shoes. Honestly, it's because feet, gross. Yes.
You heard it here first, folks.
You probably, well, as I discovered, skeptics are inclined with respect to Catholic miracles to posit hallucinations all the time and whatnot. Like these
Yes.
really striking coincidental hallucinations like happening all the time. So I would have thought that maybe you were just hallucinating or something.
I do want to get into your story, but I also
I mean,
So
that doesn't require hallucinations. It's just one of those things where you notice that the circles of people who already believed in miracles and are very devout also are the ones who most frequently report seeing these apparitions.
yeah.
Like the Venn diagram is almost a perfect circle. So
Can we make this important point here? I think it's good to make it here. Now, to see visions, to see apparitions, to have religious experiences, to have mystical experiences of any kind. This is, and I'm not qualified to speak on such things from a psychological perspective, but I know enough to know that these do not. This is not a mental defect. It's not a sign of a mental illness. It's not delusion. This is how the brain works. Our brains are like pattern building machines that's what they do.
Patterns.
They fill in the gaps of the things that we can't perceive and don't know. And that's how we survived and grew and developed. So actually, you've heard it said by some very silly people that religion is a mental illness. It absolutely is not. If anything, religion was inevitable. Religion is just the product of the brain doing what the brain does. And I'll say this: I am not a religious person, but I have had religious experiences. I've had some really intense religious experiences. I was not crazy. I was not delusional. I was not imagining or seeing things. My brain was reacting to stimuli, things that were happening around me, things that were happening in my life, things within, there were social pressures on what was happening to me. The idea that visions or apparitions or religious phenomena can be chalked up to simple defects in the brain or in the way that you perceive or that you think is just, it's wrongheaded. I think we need to get over that much. There's other stuff going on.
I mean, and also the obvious question of why is it that people in the Western Hemisphere overwhelmingly see Christian apparitions and not apparitions of Krishna?
Like I said, social pressures, right? There's all sorts of factors that come to play in these sorts of things. But yeah, not a mental illness.
An apparition of the Mayan rain god Chak.
Mm-hmm.
For people who aren't, practitioners of the Mayan religion.
And I guess kind of to bring this back around to the question of, because I see it often applied to, I see it often used as a convenient way to dismiss the Bible as a text, as a collection of religious literature, as stuff written by I've heard the illiterate goat herders written in the Bronze Age, which is all. I hate it too. It's all wrong. The Bible is a collection of very deeply religiously informed documents, but these people were not seeing things. They were not on drugs. They were not hallucinating. They were having just very ordinary human experiences with the world, because this is what humans do when we're trying to make sense of things. Cheetah X for 10 euros, thank you very much, says philosophy can provide arguments for or against the existence of God. Yes, a very important point. I prefer evidence.
I prefer evidence.
Yeah.
Co-signed. Christopher for £10. Prediction of the positions he will now claim he used to hold. If you watch his former content, I'll wager a fat stack that he's previously called out at least half as being strawmen.
I feel like that's possible. And again, unfortunately, I don't know enough. I've not followed Joe Schmid up to this point. I don't know enough about his earlier content, but I feel like that's possible.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's a confirmed prediction, I'll go crack open a cold one. I just bought myself some Modelo
Nice.
the other day.
All right.
And I've got limes. So, all right, let's go.
I want to ask, how do you think your community is going to receive this when it becomes public?
It'll be mixed. So I've been ironic for quite some time. I've been very cordial and convivial to people who disagree with me because I think that's how we discover truth, right? So I think I've cultivated a community that, first and foremost, at least I hope, loves.
I know I'm not going to keep interrupting, I promise. I just want to say that this is something that comes up occasionally when you're talking to people. The reason that they're trying to be polite and genial and convivial is because they want you to listen and internalize their ideas and their points. Okay? If you're thinking of bigot can only be mean, racist can only be mean, transphobes can only be mean, but they're nice to me, so they're not a bad person. Stop it.
Stop
Okay.
that. Yes.
Stop being so goddamn naive. There's a lot of people who say very, very harmful things, but because they're really super nice and polite about it, then you should take them seriously. Don't do that.
No, don't do that. And we here on my channel, we've kind of positioned ourselves in this space. No, it is not good enough that you're just going to be polite and charitable. Anyone who thinks racist can only be mean needs a grandma from Alabama.
My grandma from Alabama was very nice. I don't recall her saying any racist things. It doesn't mean she didn't. I just don't remember them. But I have had conversations with my parents where they insist that the fact that they're nice to marginalized identities, like polite to their face, somehow doesn't contradict the fact that they vote for harmful policies and people who enact those policies. Like, I still haven't gotten them to connect those dots.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't be a racist or a bigot. I'm nice. Like, that's not how that works. But
so, on this channel, we have there is just no tolerance for bigots here. Bigots of any stripe. It doesn't matter how polite you think you are, or you might be, or how charitable. If you're going to be a bigot, we don't want you here. So that's it's a different tack. I often talk about the tyranny of politeness, and that's, you know, in many ways, this is just a way to smuggle in bad ideas. And that's the way. That's my approach. That's our approach here. We're just not having it. So, but I do think, contrary to what you might see people say online, I do think that I am probably a very nice person.
I mean, yeah. But again,
it shouldn't matter though, right? Like,
sometimes we're mean or petty or whatever. It happens for human beings. Like, I'll joke about this a lot that I'm petty, and most of the time that's a joke. But when it comes to bad faith conversations, I'm mean because I don't spend energy being nice to bigots. Yeah, I'm with Chrissy on this one. The only good bigot is the curb stomps one. So.
Could be a channel motto, actually. So,
yep. Yeah. All right. Let's see how much more we can get through this.
Truth. And if they love truth and they recognize it, this is at least where I think truth is. I think they should be, and potentially a lot of them will be, open and receptive to what I'm going to say. Of course, a lot of them won't like it. I've got a lot of friends in the LGBT community. I have a lot of people who are atheist agnostics. I've co-authored papers with a bunch of atheists and whatnot. And they're all just going to be like, what? You've lost your mind. Like, they're going to think I've gone insane. So I do have a lot of friends who, I mean, maybe will become estranged. Maybe, I mean, I don't know what will happen, but
Are you bracing for that? Are you nervous about the potential fallout? Not because you'll change your mind, but because it hurts to lose friends.
It does
Or
hurt to
have
lose
people
friends.
think ill of you.
it does hurt to lose friends. But, you know, like, if they hate me, they hated Christ first, right? So I mean, before I...
Hold on.
Go ahead.
So
what you're
I'll
thinking.
just say at the outset, I've looked at some of the reaction online, and me personally, I haven't seen anybody suggesting that Joe has gone insane. Critics, I certainly do not think that what Joe is doing is insane. There are certainly any variety of very good reasons, practical reasons, for him to have taken, to have gone on the tack that he has, and to have reconverted or reaffirmed his conversion, his commitment to Catholicism. What people are critical of is what we are critical of, and that, to me, is just the astonishing level of credulity that is on display here in this video, in everything that I've seen from Joe since learning that he decided to re-embrace Catholicism. And this is speaking as someone who, again, has lots of Catholic friends, knows lots of Catholic biblical scholars who I would never, ever suggest exhibit these levels of credulity. You have something to say. Sorry.
You pretty much said it for me, but it's just
Okay.
one of these things where they want to be persecuted so freaking bad. Anytime someone pushes back on a bad faith argument or fallacious reasoning, well, they hate me because they hated Christ first. Just total non sequitur, total like persecution complex. It's like you are literally the dominant hegemon in the West.
Importantly,
Oh no, people are gonna just like be so mean to me and they're just gonna like cast me out of their social circle. Like, you are not persecuted. Unless if you live in the West or the global North and you're a Christian, you're not persecuted. There are very few places on the planet where there are persecuted Christian minorities. It's not in the Anglophone sphere. Like, this is just infuriating.
It's
Yes.
good to see you, Katie, by the way.
Nuns are being kidnapped off the street, and Joe says nothing because that would be personally dangerous to him. Yeah, there's a lot in, like, I organized with them last week. A notorious fascist white supremacist said that he was coming to LA to, you know, talk about free speech and Christianity outside of a local Islamic center. And I was like, the hell you are. Like, those people specifically at that Islamic center have been really good allies. And they've been really good to some of the Jews here. They've hosted services for us. So I was like, oh, no, I'm pulling up and I'm not letting him terrorize these people. Well, you know, bro got arrested. He's still in a Minnesota jail, so but one of his buddies tried to, you know, come to town and do stuff anyway, but he wouldn't even show up at the Islamic Center because he's a coward. There weren't that many of us just standing there. That's all we were doing, is just standing there. He posts a little selfie reel and goes, well, I'm at this, you know, specific Catholic church, and I'm just here to talk about free speech and how Christians are, like, you know, in danger. I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 people walked down the street to where that church is, and he and his little coward buddy ran into the church as if that was going to provide them sanctuary somewhere. And a guy picks the dude up while he's flailing like a toddler and throws him outside of the church because they didn't want any of this crap in there. And, like, they're the ones that are doing this. They're the ones that are like, hey, I'm going to show up and terrorize people. And then if somebody goes, nah, we're not going to let you do that. Oh, I'm so persecuted and there's evil people after me. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, shut up. Go put on a diaper and go home. Keep that fashy shit at home.
All right.
And
I
yes, True
I like
Crime
this
Dad
comment.
reminded me
Oh,
he got smurfed. He did. He
Uh,
got totally pink.
I like this comment. The reason I like it is because I'm reasonably confident that both you and I are of like average IQ. Which is
IQ
like,
tests are bullshit.
they are absolute bullshit. But I'm reasonably confident that you and I are both of average IQ, which I think is 80, isn't it? Is average IQ?
Low
Average
IQ.
IQ
Just
is
tell us that you're a
is 80.
4chan troll
Yeah.
or a manosphere red pill
But
freak.
this is
Oh my
simple
goodness.
math, right? This is simple math. I'm famously good at math. I know that 80 plus 80
You are
is
famously good at
160. I am. 80 plus 80
Uh,
is 160, and I'm fairly sure that that is
Yep.
higher than any registered IQ to this point. So, anyways,
Oh man.
we haven't.
Oh, a super chat.
Yeah.
Let's see. Few games for $5. No matter the words or tone, there's no such thing as a polite Nazi. Also, love God's propaganda. Was always curious about kosher law explanations.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Thank you very
What's
much.
going on there?
Video games. Just as a reminder to everyone, in case you forgot, I'm gonna find it here quickly. I promise, or not. God damn it! Did somebody? Oh, here we go. There.
Kip Davis has written Nope.
You can still buy the book. It's if you haven't already, and if you have, you could buy it again. So, nobody is stopping you from doing that. But yeah, I think whereabouts are we in the video? Is it
About 5 minutes.
okay?
12 seconds.
Let's play a few minutes more until he gets
Okay.
to, I think, his psychophysical argument for God, and then we'll move to something else.
Sounds good.
Converted, I did have a lot of these psychological barriers and whatnot pulling on me and tugging on me. Like, man, dude, I've been like a public critic of Catholicism and Christianity, and like specifically Catholicism. People can look up my papers and books and whatnot. I am just like tearing down divine simplicity, divine timelessness, divine impassibility, divine immutability. I'm just like going after the very core of Catholicism's doctrine of God. I've been systematically cutting that down. I've made videos against like the Bible and various other things like that. So, you know, I was there. So firstly, I need to show some kind of compassion and love to them, right? Because I was there.
Yeah.
And if one of my best friends converted to Catholicism at that point, I'd be like, what? What are you doing? I would also have had very similar reactions. So I just got to show love. And again, I think at the time I had psychological barriers, but I think through God's grace, through the intercession of our Blessed Mother and glorious Theotokos, I've been able to kind of.
It's so wild to hear you talk like that, man. I'm like, is he punking me? Is he about to destroy my worldview and make me an atheist? Because, you know, you're a smart guy. People should know you're a Ph.D. student at Princeton. I'm glad to hear that you'll be having a conversation with Trent, because you'll be able to go a lot deeper with him than you will be with me. He's a smart fella.
Pause it for a second. So, speaking as a PhD, it does not. You don't have to be that smart to get through a PhD program. You really don't. I think in some ways it probably helps, but the best way, budding PhD students, listen to me. The best way to get through your PhD program is to work your ass off. That's it. You got to work hard. It doesn't require you to be smart to work hard. And if you have a really good PhD advisor, supervisor, they are invested in your success, and they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that you that you finish and that you do well as well as you can, right? So it honestly, it doesn't matter how smart you are. If people look at that, they look at the PhD, the letters behind your name, and think, wow, you must be like super smart. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that I got super irrationally obsessed with this one thing, this question that I couldn't leave alone. And I was fortunate enough to be able to fund my way through answering this question for over the course of several years. And now I probably have some regrets about that, but it just that's what that means. That's all that means. Just, think it's an important clarification.
I mean, how dare you call my hyperfixation irrational? Spare the sissy. Perception and qualia are weird. Therefore, Catholic God. Yeah. Also, yo, Changsai.
Oh, Shangsai is here. Very nice. I hope you do something about this because, listen, we're not going to go into psychophysical harmony, but this is the number one thing that has convinced Joe of the existence and the truth of the Catholic God and the truth of Catholic doctrine. And I had to watch his explanations of these things several times. And as near as I can tell, I don't know. This is not improving my already very low impression of what analytical philosophers are doing, because this is an argument that looks to me like a word game and a bunch of theoretical speculation about things that are just not even possible. Like, why? Anyway,
Blizzard lasts for $4.99. I've heard a few prominent non-theist YouTubers mention how they could make a lot more money if they converted to Christianity. Yeah, Apologists talked about that.
he's
Makes
talked
me
about
wonder.
this.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
money is in the Christian circles. If you don't believe me, Michael Jones from Inspired
Check out Michael
Philosophy
Jones's
kicked a
GoFundMe.
hornet's nest by being an Islamophobe, and then he freaked out and goes, "Oh no, I need to move." So he raised $250,000 in a
More.
weekend.
More than $250,000. Can you put that comment back up? Because I had a thought about
Yep.
that. And So I do want to say one thing about this, because a lot of people have speculated that Joe has converted or has publicized this, that leaned into this as a means of financial gain to improve his own situation. I don't think that's what's at work. But what I will say is I do think that these are motivations that can work on you without you realizing it or not. I think there is possibly an incentive to overlook certain things, to prioritize certain arguments or ideas over others, to encourage your own blind spots if there's this financial motivation piece operative in the background. And you can be doing this, like I said, whether you're even aware of it. So I am hesitant to attribute malice in that sort of situation. I think it's unnecessary.
Okay, back to the video.
Yeah, but I really am. It's weird to hear you speak like that, because I'm used to hearing your videos where you and Alex O'Connor are criticizing Catholicism and Christianity, and I thought you always did a good job doing it in a balanced, loving kind of way. I never thought you were hostile, or Alex for that matter.
Yeah, well, listen, where sin abounds, where darkness abounds, where imperfection abounds, grace abounds all the more, right? So
yeah, I don't want to go back to your childhood. Maybe we'll get there eventually.
Okay.
What I want to get to is, when did the first domino fall and how? And obviously you could go back to your childhood, but I mean, like, more recently, over the last couple of years.
it was an argument for God's existence called the psychophysical harmony argument.
All right.
So for the longest time, I have been agnostic.
Stop it here, and we'll jump ahead to the next timestamp, which I think is 43:12. So I will say now, before and just get when you get the timestamp there, maybe if you could pull up Vish, or maybe I'll do it. There's another. Let me just do it. I'll pull this up and show it. So this is and this is kind of really where I wanted to set my focus. The thing that really struck me about this was, so this is the index of the discussion that Joe had with Matt Fradd from Pints with Aquinas about his conversion. These are the things that he wants to draw your attention to in what convinced him that Catholicism is true. Demonic phenomena testimony, Our Lady of Zatoun apparition, the miracle of Calandra, medically documented healing miracles, investigating Eucharistic miracles, stigmata, Fatima, Padre Pio, all of this stuff. They talked for hours about all of these things that, in my estimation, as a biblical scholar, I'm looking at this and I'm going, what are you doing? None of this stuff is what I would classify as biblical. When I read the Bible, when I read the New Testament, which is something that I've done, I'm not a New Testament scholar, but I've read it in Greek. Despite my Ph.D. supervisor's recommendation to me that I shouldn't bother reading the New Testament, I did anyways. I know some things about the New Testament. I know enough to know that the phenomena, the miracles, the healings, the signs, the stigmata, this is not what should be driving conversion. The New Testament authors tell us this rather explicitly, and this is kind of what drew my attention to this in the first place. And maybe at this point, I will I'll bring this up now, and I want people to have this in the background as we continue this discussion, because I think it's a good reminder. I am not a Christian. Vish is not a Christian. Both of us were at one point in time, but I know there are a lot of Christians in my audience. There's a lot of Christians who are going to be watching this video, but I want to draw your attention to what I see as what the Bible has to say about this question of conversion. So I'm using Cross Bible, which is a site that was developed by a friend of mine, Stephen Nelson. It's an excellent resource. Especially, I use both Vish and I usually use Safaria as a web-based platform for investigating the Hebrew Bible. But if you're going to go through the New Testament, I would say Cross Bible is an excellent place to go. So let's look at 1 Corinthians, the letter by the Apostle Paul, one of the undisputed letters of Paul to the Corinthian church, starting in verse 17, to see what he says here. And I want people to think about what he's saying. This is the New Revised Standard Version. I have the Greek text up here as well for those of you who are keen enough to read it. For Christ did not send me to baptize, but to proclaim the gospel, and not with eloquent wisdom, so that the cross of Christ might not be empty of its power. Ho staros to Christo, the cross of Christ. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and the discernment of the discerning I will thwart. Where is the one who is wise? Where is the scholar? Where is the debater of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world. For since the wisdom of God, the world did not know God through wisdom, God decided through the foolishness of the proclamation to save those who believe. For Jews ask for a sign, and Greeks desire wisdom. But we proclaim Christon estaromenon, Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and foolishness to Gentiles, but to those who are the called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. For God's foolishness is wiser than human wisdom, and God's weakness is stronger than human strength, and so on and so forth. But I bring that up to make an important point and to ask an important question. Those of you who are followers of Jesus, Joe, if you ever watch this, I just have to know, where is this in your epistemology? How does this align with this rehearsal of, casting out demons and seeing Mary on top of a church, or, testimonies of people from Fatima, or, people growing limbs? Where does this fall in the process? Because I'm a Bible guy. I'm reading the Bible and I'm looking and I'm not seeing it. I'm just not. And I gotta know. It's your text. It's, as I'm reminded by my Catholic friends, it's your book. The Bible, the Old and New Testament in this configuration, in this collection, is the one that you guys put together. Are you actually reading it? And if not, why not? So that's where I want to start with this. And with that, we're going to jump ahead here to one of these really key pieces of evidence that was seemingly very convincing to Joe, the analytical philosopher, about the truth
Few things
of
here.
Christianity.
One is demonic phenomena. And me even saying this right now, go back 2 years, I would have laughed. It would have been ridiculous. I would have joined the skeptics and be like, oh, this is just ridiculous. What are you talking about? Demonic phenomena. Like, come on, we're prim and proper intellectuals. We don't believe in demons or anything like that, right? That's what I would have said. And I would have laughed it off. Would have thought that you guys are just like primitive, superstitious morons, basically.
Yes.
But I have a friend, Cameron Bertuzzi, and he started making videos where he just has on a bunch of different exorcists, people who work in deliverance ministry, people who have like experienced deliverance ministry, and people like that. And Cameron, we were good friends at the time. And Cameron was like, he started sending me some of these videos, and he's like, Joe, come on, like, watch it. Like, stop making fun of it. Watch it. Listen to what the exorcists are saying. Hear them out. Listen to what Dr. Richard Gallagher on the faculty of Columbia and NYU, a Princeton alum, listen to what he's saying, okay? And give me your explanation.
Pause it for a
I
second.
demand it. That's basic.
Cameron Bertuzzi of Capturing Christianity for probably 2 years now, I think rather famously, has been featuring Catholic exorcists on his channel and their stories of deliverance of people from demon possession. He's received quite a bit of flack and pushback for that, in large part, I think, because the videos do very well. Why wouldn't they? It's an easy way to capture an audience by, pasting on your thumbnail about experiences of somebody who is encountering the demonic on a regular basis. I think it's legitimate because these are things, like I said, that they did very well. Cameron seemed to lean into them quite a bit, and the problem, I'll say this at the outset, is not whether or not demons are real, whether they exist, whether they are an actual problem. The problem here is the intersection with mental health professionals. And this is something I want to draw some attention to. He mentioned here, hey, Dr. Richard Gallagher. He's going to talk a little bit about him, and then I want to take a closer look at this gentleman, and I've got some things to say about this as well. Tree Clam Tab for $5 says, listen to what the exorcists are saying. An extremely normal thing that extremely normal people say. Yeah. Thank you for that, Ted. You're absolutely right. This is, yeah. All right. Let's hear about Dr. Richard.
Well, okay.
Exactly what Cameron told me in a little bit nicer terms, but Cameron just kept on pushing me. He's like, explain it, Joe. So he would say, okay, watch this video. And if you don't want to watch the whole thing, just go to this timestamp. And, I go to the timestamp, and like the exorcist is basically saying like, yeah, so like we started the rite, we did the litany of saints, and then the person started levitating, and then he was there for about 30 minutes. And I was like, okay. And so I go back to Cameron, and I'm like, well, maybe, okay, listen, maybe the dude was just misperceiving. Okay, the person was like kind of like holding themselves up with their arm, and maybe that was being covered by their like dress or something.
Lying, that seems
Yeah.
more likely.
Yeah, well, lying, that's another potential option, but
Do they go to David Copperfield shows and just absolutely lose it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
And,
there's a lot of ways to make yourself appear like you're levitating.
I imagine so. I have no idea. But listen, for a long time, I really loved watching videos with Darren Brown. Do you remember that guy?
Oh yeah, Wilfred Brown.
An illusionist. Not so much an illusion. He was a hypnotist.
No, he's a mentalist.
And a mentalist. Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
A hypnotist, a mentalist from the UK, who was very transparent. Not necessarily about how he did stuff, but very transparent about the fact that it's just a trick. Everything that he does, it's a skill that you develop. He's very good at it.
I have
But
many books on stage mentalism specifically. I have what is probably considered the book on mentalism. It's 13 Steps. That's the name of the book. It's 13 Steps of Mentalism.
Yeah. So this is timely because last night Maya and I watched The Prestige from Christopher Nolan.
Great movie.
She's never seen it before. I love this movie so much, which is about a rivalry between two magicians at the end of the 19th century, starring Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. It's just awesome. And
David Bowie.
What?
And David Bowie.
Not just David Bowie. David Bowie playing Nikola Tesla.
Nikola Tesla. That's right.
Right. Of course, Michael Caine is in it because it's a Christopher Nolan movie.
Of course he's in it.
But it's just an excellent movie. But it's so many layers, and this is a key part of this, right? Is these are magicians, these are illusionists. They are out to misdirect, and there is one of the messages of this movie is that success in this field, in this discipline, requires a level of commitment. The one character, Borden, keeps getting after. Borden is Christian Bale's character, keeps getting after Hugh Jackman's character, Angier, for not being willing to get his hands dirty. He doesn't have a high enough level of commitment to the craft to pull it off, because it's not just doing shows on the stage on the nights that you're performing.
It's a lifestyle, man.
It's a lifestyle. It is and that's part of the story is the lengths to which this one guy goes to preserve the illusion and how much it affects his real life, and of course, the horrible consequences of that down the road. But the illusion, if you are committed enough, if you have a high enough level of devotion to the craft, I think you can get to a point to make enough people believe just about anything.
The whole thing about that movie is like, it literally was the simplest explanation the whole time, but bro just was like, it can't be the simple explanation, and then he literally ends up going to a guy who invents teleportation about it. Like, come on. It's so funny to me. Like, it's a great movie, great acting.
It's a great movie, but I think it's applicable here, right?
I will say the book by Christopher Priest is nothing like the movie. It involves like actual ghosts. So if you decide to read it,
I don't know.
Be prepared for that.
Okay. I feel like I would like grounded.
That.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the book is like, no, actual ghosts.
Indeed. So. All right.
So I was like, I gave him this disjunction. Like, okay, maybe it's a combination of like, either it's lying or confabulation or something, or maybe like some weird kind of trick or some memory distortion or confabulation or something.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, yeah, and maybe the person was just, as I said, my initial thought was like, maybe they're just holding themselves up, because I think like I didn't have any independent evidence of the person lying. And then Cameron's like, Joe, I asked him that 2 minutes later, go on, and he said he literally put his head down and could see under it. Could see like a foot up. And I was like, okay.
Who could see? So hold on.
I was like, okay, well maybe this is.
Think about this. Pause it, Vish. Push the pause button, please. So yes, like listen to what he's saying. No, not Cameron. He's relating a story that Cameron Bertuzzi is relaying from another person. Cameron Bertuzzi's not looking underneath to see. He's saying that the person who's telling him the story was looking underneath. And
yes, he passed a ring around her body.
I've seen a magician do that. I've seen that.
Half, man.
In half, and they separate the two.
You could see the feet still moving.
Yes, they're moving.
Yeah.
Listen,
I don't drop this part of my lore very often because there's just not really any real prompt, but I've had experience in these so-called deliverance ministries. There's one in Irondale, I think it is, which is a suburb of Birmingham. As far as I know, to this day, they're still meeting every Tuesday night doing, deliverance. And, usually the way that works is you go in and whoever's speaking that night does their little mini sermon, and then they'll open up the floor for anybody who needs prayer or healing or whatever. And you can go up there. Some people just need prayer or support communally. Some people don't really need much of anything, so they'll just sit there. I had my legs lengthened there. One of the guys was like, hey, did you ever notice that, this leg is like shorter than this other one? I was like, no, I didn't notice that. He did the whole spiel, had me convinced, because unless you know that that's a grift and you know how they do it, it looks very convincing. You're like, oh my God, so I've seen people have demons exorcised from them, and, a tiny kind of woman is having 5 grown men having to like restrain her because she's so demonic and, whatever. It's like,
listen,
wild.
I have, I have some experience with this as well. I was absolutely traumatized as I was 15 or 16 years old, and it was in an evening church service. We watched the movie, the Roman, sorry, not the Mormon, the Mormon smear film, The God Makers. Which is all about how it's made by evangelicals about how terrible Mormons are. It was during watching this film in my church in an evening service, there was a young woman who was undergoing some sort of episode of some sort and was making a scene, like, and it was terrifying to be in that situation. And then and we were all told that she was being tormented by demons, and we were all told that she was taken out of the service and into another room and was throwing, 220-pound guys around the room like they're rag dolls. We were told this. I didn't see any of it. I was told this, and I believed it. I don't know what happened, but people swore by this, and they repeated this story over and over again. And this is how this stuff works, and people are credulous by nature. I think, as I said before, I think we all like to think we're skeptical, right, by default. But I think at the heart of it, most of us just are ready to believe lots of things. And I think that happens. I think that happened in this instance at my local church. I think that's what's happening with these stories about demonic possession. Shangsai points out memory distortion is a big thing. I think he's talking about in this interview, you could literally see him exaggerating miracles, like Padre Pio. Yes, and I'm going to talk about one of those here. So
yeah, it's always second, third, fourth hand. I know a guy who went on a mission trip to the heart of this rural village, and they were raising people from the dead. And it's like, I've even had a buddy who insisted that it was very real that he had experienced, being in a situation where someone had been raised from the dead, and he actually had some ministers, VHS tape that purported to show such a thing. So
right,
they say it with such confidence, and they're already usually people and you grant them a degree of trust and credibility. And if you say that with enough confidence, it convinces a lot of people. That's why they're called confidence men, or con men for short.
And I think this is a very useful point, Cheetah X. This is pretty analogous to the New Testament. Yes, we have a collection of documents. Well, let's just talk about the Gospels for a second. A collection of texts that I'm not even sure were written with the intention of being understood as histories or biographies of Jesus. These are theological documents. These are collections of stories that are carefully told and arranged in such a way to communicate certain theological truths on the basis of the life of Jesus. But these are all third hand. They are not tied to eyewitnesses. There is no claim in the actual Gospels, if you read them carefully enough, that these are stories that come directly from eyewitnesses. It is fan fiction. It is exaggerations of things that may or may not have actually happened. We have no access to that, but that is not even the point. But that is how we end up in situations like this, where people are just credulously accepting what is written in the Gospels as straightforward presentations of who Jesus was and what he did.
It's a long time ago, and the person just forgot or something, or maybe it's some kind of confabulation. He's like, Joe, at the beginning of the interview, he said that this was a week ago, and I was like, okay, maybe he's lying. So then,
well, as you well know, stories can't get exaggerated in a week.
Never.
Everybody knows that.
No, of course not. God, I'm fairly sure. I mean, I was born in 1973, which was the same year that Elvis died. And I'm fairly sure.
Welcome back, Elvis Presley.
I'm fairly sure reports of Elvis's resurrection were within days or weeks.
People
his
have
reported
seen
death.
him. I've been reasonably assured of that by reputable sources like the Weekly World News.
There's a
Why
whole.
would they lie?
Is it that it has the 8th highest, or at least at the time when the very good Mike Myers movie, So I Married an Axe Murderer, came out. the World Weekly News had the 8th highest circulation of any periodical, I believe, on planet Earth. So, it's an entire industry. Elvis died in 1977? Shut up. What happened in 1973?
I'm sure a lot of things happened in 1973.
God damn it. The Nixon impeachment, did that happen in did that happen in 1973?
I study the early modern period and the late colonial period. I'm not going to be able to just rattle off stuff.
It was an important year, everyone. 1973 was very important. Very important. Oh God. See, I've got that wrong. Somebody said Nixon was impeached in 1974. Was he elected in 1973? Or he start it? Somebody help me out with important things that happened.
Even there, I'm shifting in my seat. Notice what I'm doing. I basically have just divined from the armchair that this person that I don't know, who I've never met, and whom I have no independent evidence of lying, is a liar. And I'm accusing him of lying because, well, I just have these other arguments or something. So I can divine from the armchair these empirical facts about the world, even though I have no independent.
These other arguments or something are, I have a dragon in my garage. That's what they are.
See, why would I call you a liar? I mean, I'm just deciding from the armchair, my computer chair. I've just got all these preconditions. I have no reason to suspect that you would be lying to me. So if I tell people that you have a dragon in your garage, they should believe me.
The Sydney Opera House was opened in 1973.
And again, it doesn't require that someone's lying. Lying is intentional deception. It doesn't require that your friend is intentionally deceiving you. Your friend might have been duped and sincerely believe that he thinks somebody was levitating. It doesn't make him a liar. It makes him mistaken.
Yes. See, I knew there was a lot of stuff that happened in 1973. Sorry,
until I learned the tricks of stage magicians and, people like that. I legitimately for a while thought that I had my leg lengthened. Because, I was there. I looked, I saw it happen, And then, I later on learned that this is a very common, illusion by stage magicians and things like that. So, you can sincerely believe something and be like, oh my God, I was here. I had this thing happen to me. I was there. Doesn't mean you're a liar.
Lyndon Johnson died in 1973. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Maybe
evidence for them. And so
I was thinking about all the resurrection reports of Lyndon Johnson and confusing them. Our generation grew up watching Magic.
Baby.
Thank you.
That's right. What a good show. Hosted by Mitch Pileggi of the X-Files.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
A different timestamp? Or
no, I want to continue through this for a bit.
Okay.
I was shifting in my armchair, and it didn't bother me too much at the time. But then Cameron's like, okay, Joe, you thought he was a liar. Well, let's look at this other guy, Dr. Richard Gallagher. Okay, I've had him on, and just you go through what Dr. Richard Gallagher is talking about. He has this Julia case, for instance, that Ethan talked about when he was with you, and the things that he's testifying to are things that are almost impossible to be honestly mistaken about. Like he would just be extensive interactions with this Julia person, and then things would literally just be him and her, and something would literally just like fly across the room. Or Julia would engage in extensive, fluent Latin and Greek, even though she didn't know it. And Dr. Richard Gallagher knows that because he studied Latin and Greek at Princeton. Or, and he would just describe all these different sorts of things. And I was like, okay, so this guy who has like all the professional cred and reputation that you could want.
Like a liar.
It doesn't seem like a liar.
Seem like a liar.
No.
Hey, here's a quick thing for you. If you want to have a really interesting rabbit hole to go down, check out all the studies that have been done on glossolalia, or speaking in tongues. Turns out that those studies find that when people go into these, states of glossolalia, they start talking in tongues, they only use phonemes that they're already familiar with. People who are, say, Anglophones or speak Spanish or whatever, do not use phonemes from like tonal East Asian languages. It's always phonemes that they're already familiar with because of their own language. So, dude, and then they started speaking in tongues. Yeah. So wait, the guy that is fluent in Greek and Latin says that he heard somebody just break into fluent Greek and Latin.
I mean, that's what Joe is telling us about Dr. Richard Gallagher, right?
Okay.
So I was interested in this person, and of course, why would he lie? He's, a respected psychiatrist. He seems like a genuine person. It doesn't seem like the type of person who would tell a lie. Did he record the Latin Greek that she said? Like, write it down or tape it up? Well, listen, we'll get to that. I mean, that's Joe says that he knows it really well. He knows these languages, so that's how he knows she was speaking Latin or Greek. So now I will say that I am someone who has learned ancient Greek. I don't know any Latin. Or I know a very minimal amount of Latin, but I have studied ancient Greek and I read it. If I heard somebody speaking ancient Greek after a little bit of time, I could probably sort out that they were speaking Greek. I don't know that I would be able to follow what they were saying. And if they were speaking something that sounded like ancient Greek, but was just gibberish, I'm not especially confident that I could sort that out clearly enough. So, you have no idea when I was learning Hebrew, I had fun because some words sound like, there you go, right? Some languages sound like other languages.
Yep.
So, but this is, Joe has told us that this guy who, seems like he would never tell a lie. And why would he? Why would he ever lie about anything? He says this is what happened. We should give him the benefit of the doubt because we have no reason to think we're passing judgment on somebody that we don't know as being a liar without having all the facts in. That's basically, and that's again, supposedly bad.
It doesn't require that they're lying. His friend could have been sincerely duped.
Could be.
Because, I mean, again, there's a lot of these stories that they broke into a language that they had no idea. They had no way of learning. How do you know they didn't know this language?
Okay. So I was curious about this guy because I never heard of him before. So I went to look him up, and there is this article. Oh, can you let's pull this off. There is this article from Esquire magazine.
Really got to get you to start using ad block.
Sorry. There we go. Dr. Richard Gallagher, demonic possession expert, isn't trying to convince you. He is the author of this book, Demonic Foes, My 25 Years.
He's not trying to convince you, Kip. He just wrote a book about it.
That's it. He wrote a book about it. Why would he lie, Vish?
Yeah, there's no money in that.
None. So the author of Demonic Foes talks about exorcisms, possessions, and the complicated interplay of science and spirituality.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tell me about the
So-
science of demonic possession.
I don't think I can make this bigger, or if I can, I don't know how.
It's the
Decades.
same as you would do with a PDF. Hit Control or Command Plus.
Okay. Let me Control Plus.
There you go.
There we go.
And then you
Nice.
can just close the little banner out at the bottom.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Did that happen? No, it didn't. There we go. Okay. Decades ago, Dr. Richard Gallagher, an academic psychiatrist, awoke in the night to the sound of his two otherwise docile cats screeching and clawing at one another. Gallagher was forced to separate the berserk cats into two rooms, then went back to bed, mystified by their strange behavior. The next morning, a priest with whom Gallagher was acquainted knocked at the door, accompanied by a woman with jet black hair whose eyeliner stretched to her hairline. Oh, I wonder what that could mean.
That's how you know she's like evil or bad.
Is that how you know? Maybe
Black hair and
that's it.
eyeliner.
How'd you like those cats last night? She quipped. This was Julia, who claimed to be a high priestess of Satanism, possessed by
Okay,
demonic forces.
guys.
Because Satanism is like a totally real thing, right? This is like a real religion that like people, practice and are possessed by the devil through, right?
If you're a Christian, you're very scared of Satanists because you think they have all sorts of crazy evil magic powers.
What do you
Also,
what do you
I could tell this guy's never been a cat owner because if you have more than one, they will squabble. They will. That's not weird. If you're mystified that cats will fight each other sometimes, you've never owned cats.
So what do you know about Satanism, Fish?
Well,
Modern
there's two main
Satanism.
branches here, at least in North America, the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple. Do not get them confused because one is a harbor for really awful, like, abusers who repeatedly get, accused of misbehavior in legal cases. So these the people that are afraid of, oh my god, the evil's goth Satanists, they think they have all these magic powers and they're supernaturalists and all these other like occult. Most of the time, what they think of as Satanism is edgy teens trying to troll people.
Yeah.
If you actually engage with the writings of, modern Satanism, you're gonna be like, oh, this is it. That's
This is
pretty boring.
very
and
benign.
kind of not remarkable at all. Like, they do a lot of theater.
Feels kind of like
Crowley
philosophical
and a bunch
trolling.
of his
Yeah.
friends were putting on theater because they liked riling up Christians.
Mhm.
Oh no, you're doing a black mass. Whoa! Okay.
Okay.
It's just
All right.
it was just edgy theater, but yeah,
Edgy
black
theater.
hair, eyeliner.
This sounds yeah, very, very legitimate. So here, let's keep reading.
Man.
Her remarkable case was among the first of many that Gallagher would encounter in a long career spent distinguishing, this is important, distinguishing psychosis from alleged possession. I want you to think about that, chat.
Yep, finish that sentence. This is important.
The sentence that I just finished.
From speaking in languages she claimed not to know to allegedly levitating for over half an hour.
Right. So, where did you go? Because I don't see that.
It's literally that first paragraph. It's the last part of it.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll just continue reading here.
Jasper,
Julia
the princess had tattoos too. Ah!
All right. Julia exhibited a series of behaviors that, as Gallagher sees it, constitute a once-in-a-century possession. From speaking in languages she claimed she did not know to allegedly levitating for over half an hour during an exorcism. I know I'm possessed, Julia later told Gallagher during a consultation. I space out and then don't recall what happens. Hey, that
Okay.
happened to me once, Vish, when I was on a stream with you and I got blackout drunk and you made me perform a sobriety test that I had to go back and watch the next day because I did not remember doing it in the moment. So, that happens. They tell me
you have to give me credit because I didn't humiliate you. I didn't make you get up and trip all over yourself. I was like, nah, just say the Hebrew alphabet backwards.
And I did a fucking amazing job, I think.
You did.
Considering I have no memory of it at all. Yeah. So
there's no way you could have known that language.
All right, she continues. Or he continues, Dr. Gallagher, to tell this story in Esquire magazine that probably also appears in the book that he is trying to sell. They tell me a voice comes out of me. I don't know. I don't remember anything. It's a demon, I'm sure. I'm fairly sure, Vish. I'll just say it. I am fairly sure that it was not a demon who was reciting the Hebrew alphabet while I had no memory of that while being blackout drunk. All right. So began Gallagher's long immersion into the world of supposed demonic possession. In the decades since encountering Julia, Gallagher has consulted with faith leaders from numerous religions on hundreds of cases, assisting them in the process of distinguishing troubles of the mind from what he believes are troubles of the spirit. As a result, Gallagher has been present at scores of exorcisms, leading him to become a sought-after resource on demonic possession. Since the early 1990s, Gallagher has been an active member of the International Association
of Exorcists. Okay.
Serving for a time as a scientific advisor on its governing board. Gallagher recounts his experiences in Demonic Foes, my 25 years as a psychiatrist investigating possessions, diabolic attacks, and the paranormal. A new book spanning the depth and breadth of his unusual medical career. I wonder if that book is sold a lot of copies. I bet it has. I mean, I feel like that has New York Times bestseller written all over it. I don't know, actually. I actually do not know. But I'm betting it has sold a ton of copies and has probably, given Dr. Gallagher a nice little bonus nest egg. What motivation could he possibly have?
Whole industry of people who eat this stuff up, and if you don't believe me, this present darkness.
A god, yeah, isn't that the truth? Listen, but I do want
that people love supernatural, scary fiction. The Left Behind series.
Yes. Or even like outside of Christian fiction, right? You look at things like there's plenty of horror fiction and film. I can't think of the name of the series now, which is really annoying to me. But I mean, this kind of stuff makes a ton of money. For people, these are great stories. People like great, scary stories. We love it. I did want to draw attention to this, though, which I think is really important in view of Dr. Gallagher's claims, that I think is really important, because there are a couple of points there where he says that as a psychiatrist, he's marshaling his expertise and then claiming to be able to, from his position as an expert, distinguish legitimate mental illness or legitimate mental illness from actual spiritual oppression. So this is from 10 years ago in Skeptical Inquirer from
Skeptical
Dean
Inquirer.
McKay,
Yeah.
Rachel Amirati, and Scott O. Lilienfeld. And I'm just going to read this. An essay by Dr. Richard Gallagher, a psychiatrist who purports to be a man of science, was featured in the July 1st, 2016 online opinions section of the Washington Post. The essay elicited strong reactions from many quarters. For example, it has drawn over 2,800 online responses as of this writing, although the title of Gallagher's essay is alarming enough. As a psychiatrist, I diagnose mental illness. Also, I help spot demonic possession. His grasp of science is even more troubling. In his essay, Gallagher claims to be able to identify individuals who are demonically possessed and to help exorcists distinguish them from people suffering from genuine mental illnesses. As clinical psychologists, two of whom are members of the Public Education and Media Committee of the Society for a Science of Clinical Psychology, we are deeply concerned that his approach to explaining human behavior has the potential to damage the profession and contribute to harmful mental health practices. At the outset, Gallagher tries to persuade readers that he is a skeptic. He describes himself as inclined to skepticism. Does this sound familiar? Joe Schmid told us that he's very hard to convince.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Gallagher is inclined to skepticism. Lee Strobel was a hardened atheist investigative reporter.
Yes.
J. Warner Wallace was a hardened atheist police detective.
Cold case detective, very rational.
Dr. Gallagher describes himself as inclined to skepticism and notes that he once told an exorcist, I wasn't likely to go in for a lot of hocus pocus.
Uh-huh.
He argues that respect for evidence, among other virtues, guides his approach to psychiatry, teaching, and evaluating claims concerning demonic possession. Further, he asserts reasonably that in most cases, behaviors attributed to possession can be accounted for by more prosaic problems such as medical disorder, mental illnesses, suggestibility,
or fraud. But Kip, a goth chick with black hair and really, really strong eyeliner told me that she was possessed.
Should
and
we
she
get
also
to
knew
that?
the cats were fighting.
Yeah. So Gallagher's apparent skepticism dissolves once he recounts the story of his first encounter with a woman whom he concluded was possessed by a demon. He describes her as a self-styled high priestess who called herself a witch and dressed the part with flowing dark clothes and black eyeshadow around to her temples.
Only witches can be goths. Like, they can't dress like just Betty down the street. They have to look like goths.
It is unclear.
Also, as someone who, here's another part of my lore, as somebody who did a Wicca phase in high school, because of course, did Wicca phase in high school, witches, if you're talking about neo-pagans, they don't believe in Satan. That's a Christian character outside the pantheon. So when you're like, witches are Satanists, like, no, those are literally two different things. That's like saying, like the Aztecs believe in Brahman. No, they don't. Those are two completely different pantheons. Don't be a moron.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. It is unclear if the woman's prototypical appearance influenced his conclusion that she was possessed. There is a study here from Tversky and Kahneman for a discussion of the representativeness heuristic. But almost certainly other elements of her behavior did. Shortly after touting his many Ivy League affiliations, which in science should carry less weight than the ability to think critically and a commitment to basing arguments on high-quality data, Gallagher builds suspense by telling readers that he has witnessed phenomena that he cannot explain using conventional knowledge. He then relates the following observations regarding the woman's behavior. She could tell some people their secret weaknesses, such as undue pride.
Okay.
She knew how individuals she'd never known had died, including my mother and her fatal case of ovarian cancer.
Did she just say sick? Your mom was
Maybe.
sick.
But I don't know.
Did she specifically say ovarian cancer?
I don't know. We weren't there. All we have to go on is Dr. Gallagher's obviously very trustworthy report of such things. 6 people later vouched to me that during her exorcisms, they heard her speaking multiple languages, including Latin, completely unfamiliar to her outside her trances. This is kind of interesting to me. Because I'm fairly sure I heard Joe say that Dr. Gallagher heard her speaking Greek and Latin, and he knows this because he knows Greek and Latin. But this is reported from his Washington Post article where he says that this was reported to her by 6 people who heard her speaking multiple languages, including Latin. That's different.
Yeah, it's definitely not the case that, the people here have seen a lot of Hollywood movies where the demon-possessed speak Latin. And I'm sure they're familiar enough with Latin to know when someone who claims to be possessed is speaking in it. I'm also sure that they could tell if it's grammatically correct.
Yeah,
because Latin
sure.
famously is easy to
Very
conjugate
easy.
into the right case.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I want to draw attention to Joe's report that Dr. Gallagher heard this stuff himself and recognized it, which is different from Dr. Gallagher's own report that people reported this to him, that she was speaking Latin. It doesn't sound like from this.
Second, third, fourth hand.
Yeah. I'll continue for a little bit here. There are several serious inferential problems with Gallagher's argument. First, undue pride is hardly a rare or idiosyncratic weakness. Second, Gallagher neglects to consider the possibility that the woman's apparently preternatural awareness could merely be the result of cold reading. Cold reading consists of a set of techniques such as making educated guesses based on population-based rates by providing highly generalized descriptions that apply to almost everyone, which are routinely exploited by fortune tellers, psychics. Yes. Faith healers do this. Magicians, psychics, mentalists.
They do hot reading as well.
Yeah.
Peter Popoff famously had the little earpiece in his ear, and they had surveyed people for their prayer requests and things like that on cards before the healing ceremony or service or event, whatever, and his wife would be reading off information to him, and people intercepted the transmission, and he was exposed for being a fraud. But you don't even need an earpiece to do hot reading.
You don't.
Again, if you pick up Tony Corinda's 13 Steps to Mentalism, it'll give you stage tricks to do, but it'll also teach you how to like cold read. It'll also teach you how to speak in code with whoever's
Glossal.
working with you during
okay.
the
Code.
performance.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like code. It's just the
Nice.
way that you phrase certain things that will tell the person, oh, now I can read your mind because the prompt is in code. It's a whole thing. Anyway.
Yeah. Third, what some of what appears to be evidence for this woman's psychic abilities could also, or alternatively, reflect hot reading. That is, obtaining information about a target using non-paranormal means, such as reading newspaper obituaries or searching the internet. Fourth, the assumption that a person could speak multiple languages only while in a trance is dubious at best. Did Gallagher entertain the hypothesis that she simply hadn't advertised having learned these languages previously, if she was even speaking them? How do we know that her Latin was especially accurate? Fifth, it is unclear why, given what is widely known about the limits of eyewitness testimony, Gallagher would be so willing to believe the vouched reports of a group of eyewitnesses, especially those who are presumably motivated to believe in demonic possession. The self-styled high priestess whom Gallagher discussed reported that she had connections to Satanism, going so far as to identify herself as Satan's queen. Yet the accuracy of her report should be highly suspect given psychological research on memory. For example, laboratory research indicates that individuals who report experiencing past lives and alien abductions display higher rates of false recall and commit more recognition errors than do comparison participants. So, I just want to say, it's disappointing that Joe, the supposedly very hard to convince Ph.D. analytical philosophy student, is so enamored, impressed by an appearance of this gentleman on Cameron Bertuzzi's show, because I think that probably plays a role in this. You can watch someone deliver a presentation which looks way more convincing to you than to sit down and carefully consider the written accounts of this stuff. I think there can be a healthy level of distance applied to these sorts of claims when you remove the presentation of the person themselves and just consider what they're writing, what they're saying, what is being reported through other sources. So it's, Joe, I have to say, I'm not especially impressed by your own levels of critical thinking, of your levels to evaluate evidence, of your ability to engage with scientific discourse, psychological discourse, historical discourse, outside of your own field of philosophy, on the basis of how you're presenting yourself to Matt Fradd and to your audience as somebody who was honestly convinced that Catholicism is the truth if this is the best that you can do. You have your own reasons for converting, recommitting to Catholicism. I'm not questioning that. But then to come out and say that these are the reasons, I don't know. I'm going to say it again. It's disappointing. I already had a fairly low opinion of analytic philosophers, of philosophers of religion are notorious for this. In terms of your levels of engagement with other fields, and your humility applied to other experts. You know, this is the proper time to bring this up. I'm not going to mention this individual, but there was a number of years ago somebody who was active in the YouTube skeptic space, who rather famously had Gary Habermas on his channel and interviewed him about his work on the resurrection of Jesus, as well as Gary Habermas has also dabbled in modern reports of miracles. So he was on this other channel. He was interviewed about this stuff, and rather famously, Gary Habermas was challenged, and I think it's an important challenge because I feel it all the goddamn time. There are a lot of evangelical, conservative Christian individuals who entered into the critical study of the Bible, into historical disciplines connected to the Bible, and who came out on the other side of that very highly skeptical of the biblical claims, because they learned historical critical scholarship, which challenges the straightforward reports of the Bible and sets them more appropriately within their actual historical, theological, religious contexts. Gary Habermas, there's a lot of people who have come out as once professing conservative Christians. One of them is my best friend, Joshua Bowen, will tell you, has said this on repeated occasions, that he entered his Ph.D. program at Johns Hopkins University as a committed evangelical conservative Christian who held to the truth of the biblical accounts of things. And it was very quick that he basically abandoned all of that because of what he learned about the text, about the history, about the problems with it as a result of that. And he is one of a huge number of people who have gone through this same process. So this is a thing. Lots and lots of people in my field started thinking one thing and came out thinking another. This once atheist commenter in the space who had Gary Habermas on his channel challenged him with this. This is a thing. Lots of scholars have, deconstructed from previous positions as a result of their explorations of the history of the biblical text. He asked Gary Habermas, is there anyone who has gone in the other direction? Hardened, skeptic, once professed atheist or non-believer who entered into a PhD program in biblical studies or some other relevant historical discipline, not philosophical discipline, historical discipline. Is there anybody who's done this in reverse and come out on the other side and said, you know what? After looking at all the historical evidence for the New Testament, for the Bible, I am now convinced, having been a hardened skeptic, that all of this stuff is real. Gary Habermas made the claim that, yeah, he has a list somewhere and he's going to reveal it. And this was, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, and we still haven't seen it.
It's always a list he has somewhere. It's always a stack of statistics he has somewhere. He's got all of his notes somewhere and he just doesn't remember. Like, dude, you've been doing this for most of your professional career. How are you not organized? How do you lose this stuff and then completely like appeal to it multiple times? Well, I have a list somewhere. I have it somewhere. Yeah, well, my girlfriend goes to another school. You wouldn't know her. This is the thing. Put up or shut up. Provide a list, show the evidence, or stop making the claim. Like right now, SJ's super all up in her like feelings right now because she's mad that I'm calling her gullible for just believing that people walk on walls just on the basis of a priest testimony. Yes, that makes you gullible. You can't just take someone's word for it when they say, hey, I saw someone defy the laws of physics the other day. They walked up a wall. That makes you gullible. Provide the evidence or stop making the claim. Okay, if I say, like, I saw a pig walking on the ceiling, you'd be like, that's preposterous. You wouldn't say, well, why would she lie about that? Like, SJ just
you
made
seem very trustworthy, Vish. I have no reason to think that you would lie.
He goes, but do you think that, like, priests would lie? That's against, you know, church law, and it's against the Bible. Shockingly, I know this is, like, a complete stunning revelation, but there are confessing Christians who contradict church law all the time. Christians are not immune to lying. Priests are not immune to lying. They're also not immune to committing harms. The fact that they're a priest does not make them a moral person. Your behavior is what proves that you're a moral person. You can lie and be a priest. Those don't contradict. Be less credible. Credulous. Be less credulous.
Be less credulous. So I bring that up because I want to make this point. I'm a biblical scholar. I'm not a historian, although I have to work pretty closely with canons of history, with developed methods, critically developed methods of historical investigation. This is part of what I have to do. I'm going to say this. There's a reason why Gary Habermas hasn't published that list. There's a reason why you don't see testimonies from, you know, former skeptics who entered their biblical studies program and came out on the other side believing that Jesus rose from the dead, appearing on Matt Fradd's podcast. There's a reason why. Because we're not this credulous, because we can't afford to be this credulous. This is the field. And I'm watching Joe Schmid on this podcast, and I am reminded of every philosophy bro and everyone from that I have seen promoting their credentials in the philosophy of religion. And I'm saying to you guys, I am not impressed. I continue to be unimpressed by this. All this is doing is reinforcing my opinion that you're all a bunch of credulous rubes who lost the memo, missed the class that I assumed we all attended in graduate school, where we were taught that when it comes to other disciplines, you should probably listen to the experts. I'm not a biologist.
Those are atheist skeptics who don't have the Holy Spirit. They can't possibly understand the scriptures. You have to believe in them to believe them. You have to believe so you can understand. That's the way it goes. You can't, like, understand it if you don't believe. That's what it says.
Yeah.
That's not, you know, a circular argument or anything. Don't worry about it.
No, not at all. So I'm hoping Joe Schmid is a Ph.D. student in analytical philosophy. He supposedly has not even picked a dissertation topic yet. I found that in another video. But I am hoping that by the time Joe picks his dissertation topic and by the time he gets through it, that he will have learned that there is more outside of analytical philosophy, that other academic disciplines do actually exist and have things to say about this stuff. I would have hoped that I will hope that by the time he's done, he will have recognized that biblical scholarship is a thing, that we cannot just accept the New Testament at face value, because there's all sorts of complicated historical questions that come to bear on that. So please, show me that I'm wrong about you. Because so far, like I said, I this is only reinforcing my already poor opinion. So yeah. I did want to get to the next timestamp. We've been going for 2.5 hours. If are there things, I don't know. I went on a rant and a soapbox there for a little bit. No, Gretchen, he has started he's in a PhD program, but within the United States, you do a couple of years of very rigorous coursework and go through your comprehensive examinations before you even get to the point of starting to write your dissertation. So yeah. So as far as I am aware, he's not there just yet. So actually, yeah. This is probably timely. I'm going to I did want to, because there's a couple of other things that that have come up since Joe went, and I thought I think this is timely.
Well, hang on, I gotta put it on the stage first.
Okay.
Also, man, I really miss James Randi, because he told people to put their figurative money where their mouth is, and not one person could demonstrate their supernatural claims. Not a single one.
Yeah. So, so this is from a recent stream on, I believe it's on Capturing Christianity's channel, where a bunch of guys came to defend Joe and his conversion. But this caught my eye. There was a super chat that came in here, and I just wanted to play just a few seconds of this here.
Why didn't Joe consider the Book of Abraham?
Okay. Do we know what the Book of Abraham is, everyone? I hope we do. This is
the audience. You've got a lot of new folks in the audience today.
Okay. So the Book of Abraham is a text that Joseph Smith purported to translate from an Egyptian manuscript that he came into possession of, and it was, used as evidence for a time of the antiquity of Mormon teaching. This is a joke that somebody sent in to these guys. Why didn't Joe consider the Book of Abraham? Or it was supposedly written in Reformed Egyptian, which is not a language. It's a whole thing. But I want to point something. I want to point out what's happening here. Look at these guys laughing. Look at these guys laughing about how Joe didn't consider the historical veracity of Mormonism because of the Book of Abraham. And I'm going, what did Joe read the New Testament?
Yeah, it's self-aware wolves.
Did Joe read the New Testament? Have you guys, all four of you, have you read the New Testament?
Look, if people make supernatural claims and there's a lot of witnesses, I'm not inclined to believe them without evidence, which is, I think, a pretty reasonable standard to have. But for people who are fine with just, yeah, but so-and-so says that he saw it, you should be a Mormon because that happened within the last 150 to 200 years, not 2 millennia ago. So what's the difference? Yep. Many. they testified about it. Why would they lie?
Why would they lie? This compounds my disappointment. You guys are convinced that you have a clear understanding of the New Testament. You believe that you have an accurate reading of the texts and their place within Christian history, within world history, within the history of book culture, within the history of Greek literature, and you obviously do not know what you're doing. So obviously. For you to laugh and snicker about those silly Mormons and their weird ideas about their scriptures, my guys, look in the mirror.
I know.
This is what this is you. This is you. You are laughing at a caricature of yourselves, and it's tiresome. As somebody who is an actual scholar, working in the historical critical details of these texts, it's a joke. We're laughing at you because you don't know what you're doing. So we've been going for over 2.5 hours, but I did want to talk a little bit about this. If you want to jump ahead to the next timestamp about the miracle of Calandra at 117. So this is something that also caught my attention as exemplary of Joe's naivety with respect to history and with respect to how historians work, with respect to the value of textual evidence, of documents in our evaluation of history. But this is one of the things that was very, very convincing to Joe in his journey to Catholicism.
Okay.
That came along the way that started pushing me again more towards Christianity before I even met Ethan Muse.
Okay.
So one of them was like the Miracle of Calandra, for instance. So Jimmy Akin put out a YouTube video based on a paper that Caleb Jackson has on the Miracle of Calandra. So this is, I think, in the 17th century. Juan Miguel Pellicer, he's like a Spanish farmer, and his leg gets trampled on when he's out on the farm or something. And so he has to travel, I think, to Zaragoza, Spain to get his leg amputated. Okay, so there are two doctors there that amputate his leg. They go out, they bury it in the graveyard or whatever. And, he has an extensive convalescence there because, of course, they have very primitive techniques, and he has to be there for months on end being attended to by these doctors who, by this time, they know exactly who he is. Like, they're spending months on months with this person that they amputated his leg for. Okay, and then he goes, after his convalescence, he goes and he becomes a beggar because now he can't work. So he obtains his beggar's license. We still have that, by the way. He obtains his beggar's license, and he basically, every night, I think every night he prays, I think, to... Our Lady of the Pillar or something like that for, I think maybe for the healing of his leg or something like that. And he was like rubbing the oil from something associated with Our Lady of the Pillar on his stub. And so, at first, for whatever reason, he had cause to go back home. So he goes back home and he's greeted by everyone there because he was known by the village or whatever. And so the people there, they wanted to see his stub and they literally felt his stub, his stub for his knee or whatever. And then I don't know how long he was at his home, but one night, I think he had a dream or something of Mary, and he wakes up and his leg is back. His leg is back. And so everyone's going insane. They have a canonical investigation for him, the Inquisition trial they had for this, just to make sure is this a fraud? What is going on? And we literally have the transcripts from that. We had 24 people from his town testifying to feeling his stump beforehand, no leg, and then afterwards leg. So no leg. They even sought out the 2 people who amputated his leg and attended to him in his convalescence. They sought them out. And they gave testimonies at this trial as well. They're yeah, I amputated this guy's leg. So we have just dozens of testimonies to leg being miraculously restored. People can look at the video on like Jimmy Akin's channel, and they can go to Caleb Jackson's paper on academia.edu. I think he may turn it into a blog post on his Substack. But like, I'm like, oh gosh, like this is insane. Like this is much better evidence than the resurrection, for instance. Like in my view, like the resurrection, like, yeah, we
Go for it.
Well, I mean, in the first place, I think that's quite telling. But I also think it's a good point. And this is part of the problem of setting your standards of religious devotion on an event that is and the level of evidence for that event. What he says is true. There is more evidence for this contemporary 400-year-old miracle claim in Spain than there is for the resurrection of Jesus. What did we say, Vish? What did the Apostle Paul say about the value of the resurrection of Jesus? We read it from 1 Corinthians chapter 1. He said, and I don't know, maybe I'll just, I won't put it on the screen, but I will remind everyone, since in the wisdom of God, the world did not know God through wisdom, God decided through the foolishness of the proclamation to save those who believe. For Jews ask for signs and Greeks desire wisdom, but we proclaim Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and foolishness to Gentiles. But to those who are the called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God. For God's foolishness is wiser than human wisdom, and God's weakness is stronger than human strength. Christ crucified. That's it. That was Paul's message, because it's foolishness. It's poorly evidenced on its own. It's not convincing because of the wisdom of the world. Joe's right. This miracle claim, the supposed miracle claim from the 17th century, is much better evidenced than the New Testament claims about the crucifixion and about the resurrection of Jesus. But that's kind of the point. You're not supposed to believe on the basis of volumes of evidence. You're supposed to believe on faith. All the miracle claims are not supposed to. I mean, as much as anybody wants them to purport to the truth of the gospel, according to the Apostle Paul, you're supposed to just discard all of that. All you need, according to the Apostle Paul, is Christ crucified. But Joe is not. That's not what convinced Joe. Joe was convinced by this 400-year-old story of a man who had his leg amputated, and supposedly later the leg reappeared. What do you know anything about this?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've heard several people discuss this and talk about the incredible lack of evidence and how this just kind of spun into a bunch of hyperbolic legends. And yeah, it's one of those that really doesn't frustrate me quite as much as like a bunch of people claim they saw a miracle in the sky, but only the people who already believed it.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to remind credulous folks in the chat that 1 Corinthians 14 talks about what sorts of signs convince believers versus non-believers. Believers have prophecy. Tongues are for non-believers. Where are those things happening? Because it doesn't mention healing at all in that little passage. Doesn't mention anything at all about exorcisms in that passage.
It's true.
I mean, I think exorcism's a way cooler sign. I think supernatural violations of the laws of nature are a way cooler sign that would definitely make me stop and consider some stuff. But nah, glossolalia apparently is supposed to make me believe.
That's the one.
Hmm.
So, I want to get back to this miracle, the supposed miracle of Calandra, for a second, which took place in 16th or 17th century Spain during the Spanish Inquisition, which is something that you do know quite a bit about. Now, I'm just thinking here, under these conditions, when a miracle claim is made and endorsed by the Catholic Church, is there anything like, does the Inquisition motivate anyone in one direction or the other in terms of how willing they are to publicly affirm or denounce?
I'm really glad that you asked me that, because you know that I study the Inquisition as a hobby.
Mhm.
I read court transcripts. I read the actual manuscripts for fun, if you can call it fun. It's pretty dark material.
In Spanish.
There's all sorts of claims that are made in these courts. Like, records, man. People are accused of witchcraft. They're accused of idolatry. They're accused of being secret Jews. They're accused of Mohammedanism. You know, just be Muslims. They're also, you're gonna really freak out at this, they really didn't like Lutherans. Yeah, wrong kind of Christian, not allowed. But since you asked, yeah, people are motivated to say a lot of things in Inquisition chambers, as it turns out. And they're motivated to report things to the Inquisition. Like, there are people who wanted to get at their neighbors or business partners and would report them to the Inquisition. Sometimes their accusations had merit. Sometimes they were just made up.
See,
but what's really fun about that is if the Inquisition arrested you and decided that you were guilty of whatever you were charged with, they got to take all your assets and your money.
nice.
It's great. It's really cool. Yeah.
See, this is the sort of context and nuance that you understand if you're well versed in historical disciplines, are extremely important when it comes to evaluating the kinds of documents that you're dealing with and the sorts of claims that are being made. As an historian, when you're evaluating the documents of the Spanish Inquisition and the claims being made in them, you take into consideration these sorts of things. Outside pressures, rationales that people employ because sometimes they feel like they have to, in order to survive the ordeal, in order to come on, so yeah. But this is interesting to me. So he told the story here of a man who had his leg crushed. It became infected. He went to a hospital in another town that took several days to get there, and apparently had it amputated, and got a license as an amputee for begging, and did this for like 2 years. Moved back home and was living with his parents, and then after 2 years, the claim was not that his leg grew back necessarily, that a new leg grew back. The claim was actually that the original leg was restored. And they went and, like, because at the time when you amputated a limb, the common practice was then to take the limb that have been amputated and bury it. So the claim is that the limb was restored, and they went back and after 2 years found the place where they buried that particular limb, and dug, went to dig it up, and it wasn't there. And they were able to, the limb that was restored had the same kind of bruises and marks on it. So it's not that a new limb grew in its place, it's that the original limb that was cut off was somehow reattached miraculously. And we have the reason we know that is because they went back and looked for it, and it's not there, right? The limb is missing from the place that they buried it 2 years ago. I want to put this up because David Hume actually talks about this case in his Of Miracles, his famous treatise on miracles. So this is something that he was already dealing with, hundreds of, like contemporary. Like it's not anything new. This is not. People shouldn't be surprised that somebody made these sorts of claims and that there's documentation for it. I just thought it was useful to maybe look and see what David Hume had to say about it.
Ooh, can I read this?
Yes, please.
All right. Can you make it embiggened, like
Does it need
maybe
to be
one more notch?
All right.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
All
they
right.
picked a very interesting font for this, so I want to make sure that I don't misread. There is also a memorable story related by Cardinal de Retz, which may well deserve our consideration. When that intriguing politician fled into Spain, to avoid the persecution of his enemies, he passed through Saragossa, the capital of Aragon, where he was shown in the cathedral a man who had served 7 years as a doorkeeper and was well known to everybody in town that had ever paid his devotions at that church. He had been seen for so long a time wanting a leg, but recovered that limb by the rubbing of holy oil upon the stump, and the cardinal assures us that he saw him with 2 legs. This miracle was vouched by all the canons of the church, and the whole company in town were appealed to for a confirmation of the fact, whom the cardinal found by their zealous devotion to be thorough believers of the miracle. Here, the relator was also contemporary, I think they meant, to the supposed prodigy of an incredulous and libertine character, as well as of great genius, the miracle of so singular a nature as could scarcely admit of a counterfeit, and the witnesses very numerous, and all of them in a manner spectators of the fact to which they gave their testimony. And what adds mightily to the force of the evidence, and may double our surprise on this occasion, is that the cardinal himself, who relates the story, seems not to give any credit to it, and consequently cannot be suspected of any concurrence in the holy fraud. He considered justly that it was not requisite, in order to reject a fact of this nature, to be able accurately to disprove the testimony and to trace its falsehood, though all the circumstances of knavery and credulity which produced it, through all the circumstances. He knew that, as this was commonly altogether impossible at any small distance of time and space, so it was extremely difficult, even where one was immediately present, by reason of the bigotry, ignorance, cunning, and roguery of a great part of mankind. He therefore concluded, like a just reasoner, that such an evidence carried falsehood upon the very face of it, and that a miracle, supported by any human testimony, was more properly a subject of derision than of argument.
So the priest, did I get that right? The cardinal who related the story does not believe the story.
Didn't believe it.
He didn't believe it. Because
he was like, yeah, people don't sprout or regrow limbs.
You can't regrow a limb.
Especially when you just rub some oil on it.
Yeah. I want to jump ahead here to this conclusion by Hume.
All right. The wise lend a very academic faith to every report which favors the passion of the reporter, whether it magnifies his country, his family, or himself, or in any other way strikes in with his natural inclinations and propensities. But what greater temptation than to appear a missionary, a prophet, an ambassador from heaven? Who would not encounter many dangers and difficulties in order to attain so sublime a character? Or if, by the help of vanity and a heated imagination, a man is first made a convert of himself and entered seriously into the delusion, whoever scruples to make use of pious frauds in support of so holy and meritorious a cause, the smallest spark may here kindle into the greatest flame, because the materials are always prepared for it. The avidum genus auricularum, the gazing populace, receive greedily, without examination, whatever soothes superstition and promotes wonder. How many stories of this nature have, in all ages, been detected and exploded in their infancy? How many more have been celebrated for a time and have afterwards sunk into neglect and oblivion? Where such reports therefore fly about, the solution of the phenomenon is obvious, and we judge in conformity to regular experience and observation when we account for it by the known and natural principles of credulity and delusion. And shall we, rather than have a recourse to so natural a solution, allow of a miraculous violation of the most established laws of nature? I need not mention the difficulty of detecting a falsehood in any private or even public history at the place where it is said to happen, much more when the scene is removed to ever so small a distance. Even a court of, this is a new word for me. Judicature? Interesting, okay.
Yeah.
With all the authority, accuracy, and judgment which they can employ, find themselves often at a loss to distinguish between truth and falsehood in the most recent actions. But the matter never comes to any issue if trusted to the common method of altercation and debate and flying rumors, especially when men's passions have taken part on either side. In the infancy of new religions, the wise and learned commonly esteem the matter too inconsiderable to deserve their attention or regard, and when afterwards they would willingly detect the cheat in order to undeceive the deluded multitude, well, the season's now past, and the records and the witnesses which might clear up the matter have perished beyond recovery. No means of detection remain, but those which must be drawn from the very testimony itself of the reporters, and these, though always sufficient with the judicious and knowing, are commonly too fine to fall under the comprehension of the vulgar. Upon the whole, then, it appears that no testimony for any kind of miracle has ever amounted to a probability, much less to a proof, and that even supposing it amounted to a proof, would be opposed by another proof, derived from the very nature of the fact which it would endeavor to establish. It is experience only which gives authority to human testimony, and it is the same experience which assures us of the laws of nature. When, therefore, these two kinds of experience are contrary, we have nothing to do but subtract the one from the other, and embrace an opinion, either on one side or the other, with that assurance which arises from the remainder. But, according to the principle here explained, this subtraction, with regard to all popular religions, amounts to an entire annihilation, and therefore we may establish it as a maxim that no human testimony can have such a force as to prove a miracle and make it a just foundation for any such system of religion.
No human testimony can have such force as to prove a miracle and to make it a just foundation for any such system of religion. Thank you, David Hume.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, this is for Hume understood. Hume, a famous philosopher, understood the value of rigorous historical investigation and the value of methodological skepticism, withholding withholding your affirmation until all the facts are in place. I'm struggling to see how, and I mean, I have to think there's more to this than I was convinced by the evidence to embrace this faith. In his refutation video, Joe addresses this objection from Hume. His answer is no.
Yeah.
But Joe, please, Joe, take some courses in history and
I love
biblical
this.
studies.
A shame that Hume didn't apply this skepticism to his
Oh,
racism. But what can you
God.
expect from an 18th century
Fair,
philosopher?
exactly, right? Fair, absolutely. That is true. So, I want to share one more thing. I want to read 2 more Bible texts, and then it's been 3 hours. And Dapper is doing a stream right now that we're all going to go and watch when we're done. But we're going to finish with this because I think it's no, there we go. I think it's a useful reminder to not just the skeptics, the non-religious skeptics in my audience, but also the skeptical believers in my audience. So this first text is from Matthew chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 21 here. Oh, is this Matthew chapter 7? No, that's Matthew chapter 1.
That's 1.
Yeah. 1. That's 7, starting at verse 21.
So people are like, "You're quoting the Bible? I can't believe we're doing Bible in the Bible stream." Like, I quoted some Bible. I read 1 Corinthians 14.
Bible stream, guys.
Yeah.
What did you expect?
We only sort of kind of quote.
And you're going to get a whole lot more Bible in this 3-hour stream than you get in Joe's stream on Pints with Aquinas, or I'm willing to bet many other of Joe Schmid's stream. And honestly, I think you're doing this wrong. I think you need to start here, right? Before you're going anywhere else. Jesus speaking, purportedly speaking. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do mighty works in your name? Then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Go away from me, you who behave lawlessly. And then I want to read from the Gospel of John, chapter 20, verses 24 to 30. This is a famous story, and one that is unfortunately often misapplied in people's theologies. This is the story of Thomas, who is called the twin. One of the 12 was not with them when Jesus came. This is when Jesus came and appeared to the remaining 11 disciples. So the other disciples told him, we have seen the Lord. But he said unto them, unless I see the marks of nails in his hands and put my fingers in the mark of the nails and my hand in his side, I will not believe. A week later, his disciples were again in the house, and Thomas was with them, although the doors were shut. Jesus came and stood among them and said, peace be to you. Then he said to Thomas, put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Do not doubt, but believe. Thomas answered him, my Lord and my God. Jesus said to him, have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe. Now Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples that were not written in this book. But the point is, for this gospel writer, for the Apostle Paul, for the leaders of the New Testament church, that it's not the signs and wonders and the miracles and the exorcisms and the statues that cry and bleed. It's not that. That is the measure of their faith. It's to those who haven't seen such things that are most to be favored. So I don't know. I'm coming back to this. I'm not impressed by philosophical arguments of this nature, especially ones that do not factor into consideration the Bible, the text in the New Testament, that do not bother to take into consideration the history of the text, the history of the people behind the text, the critical biblical scholarship that is so important for understanding these texts, where they came from, and why they are where they are. I'm not impressed by people who just ignore that or who attempt to sidestep that in favor of something else.
I find this story about Thomas also kind of ironic, is that Thomas was like, you were saying this guy came back from the dead? Nuh-uh. I don't believe that. I need to see it. And instead of them going, well, you just need to have faith, Jesus literally shows up and goes, hey, Thomas, check it out. Put your fingers in.
But he then chastises him.
He didn't chastise me to go, ugh, I can't believe that you would ask. You just don't have faith. He was just like, I mean, apparently, hey, people, the implication, I guess, is like people shouldn't need proof, but he gave Thomas evidence that he asked for, according to the narrative. Like, obviously, the text doesn't explicitly say that Thomas put his hand in the wounds. He just sees Jesus and goes, whoa!
Yeah, that's it.
But
yeah,
it's not relevant. This is often used to sidestep people asking for evidence.
Exactly.
When Jesus literally shows up, because Thomas was like, I won't believe it till I see it. I just try to square that circle, man.
I was never here. Ask, should I be the exceptional philosopher of religion who consults you on the Hebrew Bible and doesn't suck at the Bible? I would prefer that more. Philosophers of religion didn't suck at the Bible. Yes, please. And talk to actual biblical scholars about the Bible instead of pretending like it doesn't matter, because it sure as hell does. So absolutely, I welcome it. I was never here. So okay. No one is going to comment on that, because you know what? It's not. This is not.
Also,
kind of
I know you're full of shit. I'm built like a pint glass. Saying that I have curves tells me that you just don't know what I look like. I'm a stick figure. Curves? Not quite. My big chipmunk cheeks are probably the curviest thing about me. Also, it's a little weird of a comment to make.
A bit creepy. Yeah. So please don't be creepy in my comments. All right. So that's it for today. A little different from usual, but I was frustrated by seeing this, and just reflecting on the bankruptcy of so much of this philosophy bro bullshit when it comes to handling matters of faith and religion. And guys, get back to reading your Bibles, please, and listening to experts about the Bible when they talk about it, and you should take that seriously.
It was very frustrating. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome for the frustrating video. I could recommend, if you guys are interested in more of this kind of stuff, go and check out Katie Lewis over at Nerd Church, who did a great stream about it yesterday, and I believe has some more planned. Yeah. So go and check those out. That's it for us today. Tomorrow, I believe we are both on Dapper's channel, Dapper Dinosaur.
Thank you for saying that you like my cosplay. For those of you who are going to be in Atlanta next week for Dragon Con, I will be there. Not with as many costumes this year. My life's been kind of chaos. I'll have a few things, but the one new thing that I'm bringing, I'm pretty entertained by how it's going to land with folks. So
yeah. So we're on tomorrow at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on Dapper Dinosaur's channel, and I believe it's not actually a Dapper Reacts. It is a Gish with Vish.
It's Gish with Vish. Yep, we are back.
I've been invited to hang out.
Discord folks found more Dwayne Gish material to react to, so here we go. Gish with Vish round 2.
So come and check out Dapper Dinosaur and Vishanti, and I'll hang around for that. And then tomorrow night, there will be another episode of Budget Scripture Saturday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, where I will be back with my co-hosts Nitty and Dr. Tapioca Weasel. And we will be reviewing more bad Bible and AI slop, which is always fun. And Dr. Tapioca Weasel and I will tell the story of the meeting with the creationist trucker at the roadside tourist trap on the desert highway. So be sure.
Desert highway.
Be sure to come and check it out, though. Simone says, "Is it though? Is it? Come on! It's always. I mean, it's always fun.
Yes, because even if the material they're reviewing sucks and is painful to look at, the more altered they get, the more entertaining it is.
It's true.
Me, at least
you guys have had the pleasure of watching Dr. Tapioca Weasel put funnels on his head. You have got to watch me do a sobriety test that I don't even remember doing. I have operated power tools on my show.
That's dangerous.
But it's happened. So this is what the show is, and you should. Oh God damn! How did I forget about that? You got to see Tommy's feet against my better judgment. But it is it's a great show. Y'all should come and check it out.
We also have anti-Semitism.
Oh shit! Yes.
AKA like half the time that I'm scrolling social media. Yeah.
We try to avoid those as much as possible, but sometimes those jump scare all of us, sadly. So please, come and check it out. But until then, unless I see feet, as you should, as you should.
Unless they're a person who's really into the fashion industry and is obsessed with shoes, you never see feet or shoes on a ghost.
Was that text written by Jerry Brudos? Wow. If you know, you know.
All right. It's late. We're getting out of here. So until next time, be good. Stay safe. Hell, Ratma. And as always, everyone, Hatikva.